Here we go, Adam.
Yeah.
Aren't
Yes.
you
The eye
excited?
is watching you. I am very excited, especially after last week's show.
Last week's show, we had so much fun, and I'm pissed. My mic was causing so much trouble.
So weird. I mean, it's done that before, but literally it'll last like a split second and it goes back to normal. And for some reason, it didn't last week.
Bruce was such a get. So congrats to you, buddy, for pulling that
great
off.
guest.
And he was fantastic, absolutely fantastic.
So generous with his time, huh? I mean, he told us
definitely
everything. Yeah.
I mean, man, I just didn't know what to do with myself. I was like, I kept telling you, and I think we touched on this maybe on the show.
Yeah.
I was so nervous, and I was like popping anxiety pills. I was like, oh God, what am I going to say? And then of course I got freaked out for nothing because he was such a cool guy.
Such a cool guy, yeah. And too bad because I wanted you to ask more questions. I'm sure you wanted to ask questions too.
I kept messaging you. I was like, ask about this, ask about this.
But you got in at the end, which is great.
Yeah, I just, it's one of those things where the universe plans for things to be weird sometimes, apparently.
It really does, huh? I mean, it's insane how that happened. And I love the episode. There was when he shared it online, you always have those, this is evil or something like that, just saying that it goes against the Bible or and God, and this information makes people really triggered when they hear this type of information. It's not like he made it up. The guy went and did the homework, the science, gathered all the scientific evidence. I mean, it's almost indisputable. It could be all coincidence, right? We don't know. But man, that is a crazy coincidence when it's 1, 2, 3, 4 things that line up.
Well, and what was so great about Bruce too is he's not this screaming lunatic that you see on the New York City sidewalk with a tinfoil hat and a cardboard sign screaming about stuff. Like he's done, like you said, he's done the research.
Yeah.
He knows what he's talking about.
And he's traveled to these places and met with them and been to the sites and talked to the scientists and did a peer review paper, all that stuff. So definitely someone people should take seriously. I recommend reading his book. It's a great read.
Yeah, definitely.
He said a lot of stuff on the interview there. Even on his post, he's like, I get into a lot of the woo-woo, which I usually don't, which is cool that he did.
And longtime listeners of the show know that I love the woo-woo.
Yes, exactly.
The woo-woo
Uncovering Anomalies Podcast. What's the point?
Yeah. But, it is, last time I checked, the Uncovering Anomalies Podcast.
Hell yeah, brother.
Episode 107.
Yes.
That is I Have a Need to Know Adam.
Hey, everyone.
And I am Blimey, mate, Topher. And there's a reason for this nickname.
Do tell.
Because today we are covering another big one.
Ah, of course. That's why. Oh, duh.
No, you just got that now?
I just did. Unbelievable. So funny.
We are covering Rendlesham Forest, the UFO case, the UFO incident that happened there. Rendlesham Forest, of course, happened in Britland.
Britland, yeah, Britannia.
Yes,
in the UK, United Kingdom.
Yeah, in the UK, which is why I have my name as this. I didn't realize you didn't. I thought, never mind. I didn't realize you didn't get it.
Dude, some things just go way over my head. And then I think I focus on like the really difficult things. And that's why, like what's hidden. And when things are like super obvious, I just don't see them. It's like when I'm looking for something, if it's right in front of my face, I won't see it.
Yeah, I gotcha. Well, we're really excited to bring this to you all, and we want to thank you all so much for listening. And I'm going to say it again. Thank you, Bruce, for coming on the show last week. That was so cool.
It really was. And we'll be inviting some more people on, and hopefully we can get them and, expand our views and the audience's views, so it's not just the same propaganda that we get from the mainstream and even alternative media, because there's obviously there's some agenda there going on.
Yeah.
But that's why we like to go back into the old cases to look into them. And this one is one of the most famous ones. And even Jack Barber said, he goes, that one alone, if it happened today, it'll be indisputable proof that we're not alone.
Yeah, it's often referred to as the British Roswell case.
Exactly. All right, so we're gonna cue music and we can get right into it.
Hell yeah, brother!
It's the Uncovering
Again.
Anomalies Podcast, where the truth is told but never seems to last. For the truth.
Second, I'm gonna pause it. Well, you're gonna have to make.
You can play it.
You're gonna have to make a fast one then, you know, because it can't be slow to start the show with.
Sorry, yeah. All right, sorry. Go. I keep making songs I know that are a lot. Okay, all right.
You know what I mean?
Advice duly noted. I get it, and I listen to a lot of the AI stuff, and it's very slow and meaningful. And so that's the kind of stuff I keep making. But yeah, no, I hear you. I hear the feedback.
Right.
I understand it and I appreciate it, and I will work on that.
All right.
So go ahead, play the music again.
Take two.
Changes day by day, so you have to find it. That's the only way. It's the UAP podcast with Adam and Topher. So don't let it pause and don't let it buffer. We're bringing you stories about conspiracies. We can't break the locks, but we can give you the keys.
Whoa,
Hey, is that a
is
black
that a black
fan?
man?
Oh God, I think they found us. Is that a man? He's dressed in all black and claims that he is human. But now we've disappeared and might be burning. Tune in anyway and we'll let you know about the anomalies we've uncovered and so and so.
There we go.
All right.
Such a hilarious show. I've been tearing since we started.
That's good. Hopefully the audience at large likes it.
Yeah, hopefully they do. But to get serious,
let's get serious, folks.
Now, I didn't know this after researching this. Is a great article on UFO Insights. There were actually incidents that happened in and around the area, which we'll get into before and after Rendlesham, which hopefully will add to the case, you know.
To kind of refresh some of the details in my head leading up to this episode, I watched the Y-Files
That's a good one, yeah,
about this, and he does a great job of going through all the details.
Yeah, he always does. Their research is just fantastic. I mean,
yeah, see, that's the difference. That's why we're not as big as the Y-Files. He literally has a team doing this. I mean,
right.
I'm sure he does his own research as well.
And he shows his face. I think, you know, when it comes to like video and YouTube, people just want to see people's faces. That's, I think, has a lot to do with that.
Well, you know, we're getting there with AI stuff. Maybe we can use AI to create.
Oh, wouldn't that be hilarious? And it can lip sync as well.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, definitely. You know, I think the technology is there. I mean, I know on iPhone, for example, you can make little like when you're sending messages to people, one of the options you can do is you use this little like animal emoji thing that copies your mouth movement.
Oh yeah, I've seen that. Yeah. So
yeah.
I think it's potentially there then. We'll look into it.
Yeah. All right. So let's begin. Of the many thousands of UFO encounters to have unfolded over the United Kingdom alone, the incidents following Christmas 1980 in Suffolk in the south of England are largely regarded as the most significant. I might need to blow my nose. I'm a little stuffed up, which is making
I can take over. The strange activity in and around Rendlesham Forest, which sits right in the middle of two American Air Force bases, no less, was witnessed over several nights during the Christmas week. There is a depiction of the craft, obviously rendered. However, it is the events that took place in the early hours of the 26th December that is often referred to as Britain's Roswell. As one of the UK's leading UFO researchers, Nick Polk, would state, quote, "This was not some vague lights in the sky sighting. The UFO actually landed." And what's more, there were multiple witnesses to the incident, all with military training and experience in assessing just what is going on around, often in the most intense and pressured situations.
Yeah, so the whole military thing, it's used as both proof that this is real and it happened, and it's
Right.
used as this is fake and it didn't
True.
happen.
Right. There was
Um,
some psyop on them or something, right?
this did happen. Yeah, exactly. This did happen on a U.S. base
Hmm.
that was in.
Nuclear base, right?
I was just getting to that.
Oh,
Uh,
okay.
that happened in the UK, and it did actually have nuclear weapons there. So
Right.
um, that's why a lot of people can go both ways on this. They can say, yeah, like you said, this is a psyop, that these people were tricked into seeing or believing something to test the bases, uh, how they respond to things like this,
Hmm.
or they go, hey, these people are all military, they can't lie about this kind of stuff.
Right. And yeah, and then some people said they hallucinated, right? Also,
Yeah.
that's
Well,
also not a thing.
and everyone who's involved in well, not everyone, most people who are involved in this case say and have openly stated there is so much more to this story, but we're not allowed to tell anyone about that.
So
um
crazy.
it's such a fun UFO thing that
Oh yeah,
happened.
it has everything. It has
It has
everything. It has
everything,
lights, it
yeah.
has landings, it has aliens, it has psychic or mental projection. I mean, just insane. All right, so even more intriguing is there appears to have been some advanced and telepathic communication taking place between one of the main witnesses and the apparent occupants of this strange craft. And even more eyebrow raising are the apparent admission 3 decades later of missing files and cover up information. Perhaps this is the information that some UFO researchers have been voicing for some time. And what, as we will examine as we go, should we make of the claims that the occupants of the bizarre and futuristic crafts were not alien, but human? However, before we examine the events of Rendlesham Forest in detail, we will start with a sighting also witnessed by several people around 2 weeks previously. One of these witnesses was author and leading UFO researcher Timothy Good. He wrote Above Top Secret. He wrote,
Mm-hmm.
I
Mm-hmm.
did not know this, as we will see in light of events in Suffolk a week later, the apparent similarities can't be ignored.
Also, the UK is has a very famous UFO sighting that has come out. It was captured on film. I think we've shown it. It's that weird. What is that shape? It's like a triangle, but it has another
Cigar.
side.
Oh, a triangle on the other side, like an octagon, diamond.
Yes, yeah. It's supposedly it was seen in the British countryside. It was being chased by a
Whoa.
jet. We've sh-
Oh,
we
that one. Yeah,
we
yeah, 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 yeah.
yeah, we've shared it on the show before. I mean, that was many episodes ago, but we've shared
Right.
it on the show before.
Yep. And
Um,
and we even shared that the photographer was hunted down and they found him,
yeah,
and he came out. No, wait. They found people that he worked for. And remember, they said they were smoking a cigarette outside. He worked at a kitchen or something. They were smoking a cigarette outside, and a black car came out, and two guys in suits came out, told everyone to leave, and they questioned him.
yeah.
Again, yeah, and said never. I don't know if he went missing or he left the day after or something, or never came back. I need to remember.
Truly, I don't remember how the story ends, but that's UFOs, baby. No one ever knows how the story ends.
But the UK has lots of cases of sightings,
Yep.
and crop circles, like we talked about with Bruce. There's lots of crop
Oh
circles
yeah,
there,
crop circles is a big one.
and it could be because there's lots of nukes around there. I mean, it's a small place, but they got a lot of nukes, and probably a cult activity.
Oh, definitely.
Might be that, because let's not forget where the Freemasons, originated from. That is going to get us episode deleted.
Yep. Oh yeah. Sorry. Last 2 weeks we did a great job of not mentioning anything that was
Yeah.
could get us deleted, and now we're quickly moving into episode deletion territory.
I had someone tell me, they're like, "What happened to there's 2 episodes that are going through videos," and like, "Oh, they were deleted." Yeah, thanks YouTube. All right, you
Hey,
want to take this one?
yeah, sure. We didn't mention I can't even say the two things that we're not allowed to talk about on this show. So this is the Kent UFO sighting on the 15th of December 1980. In the book Above Top Secret, Timothy Good relays the account of 15th December 1980 when he himself witnessed a strange aerial display while walking to his flat in the Bromley area of London. For those Americans who are so American, they don't know what flat means. Flat means apartment.
Yes. Oh, yeah. Thanks for that.
Yeah. It was just after 4 p.m. It was 4:07 p.m. to be
Wow.
exact,
All
when
right.
Good noticed a, in quotes, motionless, bright, star-like object in the cloudless sky, end
Cool.
quote. At first, Good thought the light was Venus,
Mhm.
its bright glow shining in the early evening sky.
Okay.
However, a quick calculation in his mind, and he realized that our cosmic neighbor was in the wrong place. In short, this bright light wasn't Venus nor a star. Reasoning that it could be a commercial airliner or even a hot air balloon reflecting the last rays of the sun, he still rushed to his flat to obtain his telescope so he might get a closer look. By the
Wow.
time he had done so, however, the object was no longer there.
Of course.
Yeah. The time was now 4:15 p.m. Disappointed Good would forget the incident. Disappointed Good would forget the incident. That was until the following day when a reporter, Russell Bowie from the Kentish Times, telephoned him.
Kentish.
Bowie wished to know if Good had any information on any UFO sightings the previous day, especially around 4 p.m. The only incident he knew of was his own, which he relayed to Bowie. In response, Bowie would inform him that at 3 p.m. the previous day, at the Orpington Hospital redevelopment site, over 40 people witnessed a UFO for over an hour. Wowzers.
Oh, yeah, seriously.
Craft hovered for a time before moving slowly at first and then shooting across the sky. Then, in a detail that would leap out at Good when he viewed the report on the Rendlesham incident, the craft divided into several different parts before disappearing vertically at great speed. Wow, that is a great sighting.
Yeah, amazing. I had no idea, even though it was in his book. I don't know why. All right, so axis turns and splitting of a physical airborne object. One of the main witnesses was Lovell, Southern Limited employee Peter McSherry. He would state to Good that after noticing the object at 3 p.m., it remained perfectly still, simply hovering in the air at an approximate altitude of 50,000 feet. Several moments later, a plane passed by below the object. This seemingly caused it to move a little in a slow, calm motion before stopping once more. It would release a puff of vapor before moving to the east a little more. It then remained motionless once again. The object would turn on its own axis shortly after, and again at 3:20 and at 3:20 p.m. and 3:35 p.m. Then it would shoot off towards the moon at fantastic speed. A short time later, it returned and remained motionless once more. What an incident! At just 4 p.m., the object would turn on its axis once again and accelerate back to its original position above the development site. Then at 4:15, with the nose pointing upwards, it would split into two separate objects and then shoot off directly upwards at incomprehensible speeds. The sighting at 4 p.m. is likely the object that Good saw on his way home. And if we remember, by the time he returned from collecting his telescope at 4:15, the object was no longer there. According to Good, 2 nights later, on the evening of 17th December, a short section of footage taken by a family of onlookers was broadcast of the Kent incident of 2 nights previously. According to the London Weather Centre and the Civil Aviation Authority, nothing unusual had been picked up on radar. Of course, whether those statements were entirely accurate is perhaps open to debate. So what's this now we have? Symbols drawn by Peniston. Oh, this is what
This is what he saw on the outside of the craft, I believe.
Oh, okay. Yeah. And then here we go. I think, no, not yet. This is another one. The RAF Neatish Head.
Should we skip to the Rendlesham part of the story? Do you think?
It starts right here. Right here.
Christmas, December 25th, for those of you listening who don't know when Christmas is. 1980, Suffolk, England. At around 3 a.m. in the early hours of 26th December 1980, so after Christmas.
One day, yeah. A day after.
Only several hours removed from the Christmas festivities, John Burroughs and Jem Peniston. I'm going to say Peniston.
Yeah. Peniston. Okay.
Jim Peniston, huge dick on that guy. They were on patrol duty at RAF Woodbridge, an American air base in the UK. They would suddenly notice a strange light in the skies over the woodland next to the base. Believing a small plane or helicopter had made an emergency landing or even crashed, they would seek permission from their supervisor to investigate, which was duly granted. Both Burroughs, Peniston,
Burroughs.
and Airman First Class Kabanzig would take to their military-style Jeep and ventured into the trees to find out what this strange light was. As the terrain of the woodland became more and more unforgiving, though, the three-man unit would abandon their vehicle. According to the report of Charles Halt, the men would report witnessing a strange glowing object that was metallic in appearance and triangular in shape. Their estimates would suggest the object was around 2 meters high and between 2 to 3 meters across. The white light from the object illuminated the entire forest.
Wow.
On the top of the craft was a pulsing red light, while underneath was a bank of blue lights.
So it's not that big. I mean, 2 meters high, that's like 6'6", I think, when someone's 2 meters high.
Yeah.
Right? And then 2 meters high, and then how much? And then 2 to 3 meters across. Yeah. So not that big.
So about 9 at the largest, 9 feet. Because again, we have to translate this into American.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
The brightness was so intense that none of the men could tell for certain if the object was hovering or it sat on legs. They found indentations in the ground.
Yes,
right? I know I'm getting ahead of myself, but
no, it's fine. Yeah, they did for sure.
They did. Yeah. Okay. The closer they got, the more interference they experienced on the communications radios. Unsure entirely what to do, Peniston would order Kabanzig to head back to the Jeep slightly behind them. There, he could act as a communications relay between them and base control.
Interesting.
When the pair were around 50, were within around 50 meters of the craft, the detail available to them was astonishing.
Lucky them, man.
I know.
Black, so close to it, and this is 1980. So the 70s just ended. Well, it's a year after. It's almost 81. But still, man, I mean, we were still using normal landlines for phone. You know what I mean? Like everyone had the kitchen phone, just that one. Like we didn't even have different phone lines.
And if you were wealthy at the time, you could get a phone cord that was extremely long.
The long one, yeah. Exactly. And you'd walk around. So this is really early on. I mean, when did Back to the Future come out? 85? Yeah. I mean,
I know that's when it took place. I don't even know if that's when it came out.
Oh, yeah, good. All right, so a black glass-like surface with raised symbols. By this stage, Burroughs appeared to be overwhelmed with the situation and appeared to be going through the motions rather than actively taking in and processing details. Peniston, on the other hand, was entirely in the moment. He would recall how the air itself had a static feel to it, even causing his hair to stand on end. Peniston continued on to less than 20 meters. He could see how smooth and shiny the black surface of the triangular craft was. Peniston would later describe it as almost like glass. While the red and blue lights flashed alternatively, a constant white light emerged from the top and bottom of the craft.
And I just want to pause for a second. And there's a lot of people when they see UFO footage go, why is it blinking? UFOs wouldn't have, blinking lights. That's obviously a plane because planes have those.
Right.
And we're seeing from historical UFO witnesses that they do in fact have blinking lights, and this is a great example of that.
Yeah, and many people have said, and scientists have said, it's probably part of the propulsion, of keeping it in place, especially if it's anti-gravity. So if it's using plasma or whatever, it's going to look like it's a light source, but it's not. It's just a function of the propulsion. It was then that Peniston removed a camera from his person and began snapping pictures of the craft's exterior. As he did so, he circled the craft slowly, taking in as much detail as possible from all sides and angles. The exterior was extremely smooth, with no sight whatsoever of any seams or rivets, as if the craft was fashioned from the one piece of material. A detail replicated in numerous UFO reports. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I mean, this is
Yeah. Uh-huh.
excuse me, this is all, UFO things that we know about in
Yeah.
this day and age. But this was completely new, information back then.
Yeah, Lazar said that too, right? The crafts that
Mhm.
he went into that looked like it was just built out of one mold. He didn't see anything.
Yeah, actually, you have said this on the show before that that's how you can tell it's a
Mhm.
UFO or not if it's
Right.
made from just one material, or I mean, yeah, one thing.
Mold or
There's
whatever.
there's no
Exactly.
seams, there's no rivets. Yeah,
Almost
that,
like it's grown.
oh yeah, and
You
we
know what I
can get
mean?
that if we haven't already.
I
Yeah,
mean, and
it's
Bruce
almost like,
talks about that Bruce
yeah.
Fenton, he talks about that crystal ship that it was grown also from crystals, like that glass-like thing, you know,
Mhm.
and that it was sentient. All right, so nor could he see any visible signs of propulsion. Taking a breath, he reached forward and placed his hands on the smooth black surface of the craft. He would later recall how, despite the freezing conditions of the English December night, the craft itself had a warmth to it. Further to his surprise was the raised etchings, like sandpaper in texture, of strange symbols, almost Egyptian style hieroglyphics. There we go again, in their appearance. Each was about 3 inches tall and covered a range of around 3 feet in the side of the craft. Even stranger, when he did make contact with the symbols, quote, everything became a brilliant, bright white color.
And that will become important later.
Yeah, and so and this is a report.
Well,
This is
oh,
by Halls, but we can skip it for now if you want.
yeah. Well, the Halt memo is part of one of the more famous parts of this thing that happened. But all of those pictures that was it Peniston was
Aniston, yeah, Peniston.
taking, none of those have been released. In case anyone was wondering.
Damn it! So yeah, we should. He went around the craft taking those pictures. Those would be great to have, wouldn't they? Maybe.
Right, but the U.S. government decided that too dangerous to the American public.
Yes, too. It's bad. It threatens national security.
Yeah. So should we cover is it the Halt memo?
Yeah, we should read it and see what, because it is used as proof that something happened.
Yeah.
And this was 13th January 1981. We're talking about 2 weeks or about 3 weeks
Mhm.
after the event, something like that, or a little more than 2 weeks.
So this is was that reply to the author, attention of CD, subject unexplained lights, to the RAF-CC. 1. In the early morning of 27th December 80, approximately 0300 light years, I'm assuming that's what the L stands for.
I don't know what that is. But
Two
yeah,
two USAF security police patrolmen saw unusual lights outside the back gate at RAF Woodbridge. Thinking an aircraft might have crashed or been forced down, they called for permission to go outside the gate to investigate. The on-duty flight chief responded and allowed 3 patrolmen to proceed on foot. The individuals reported seeing a strange glowing object in the forest. The object was described as being metallic in appearance and triangular in shape, approximately 2 to 3 meters across the base, with approximately 2 meters high. It illuminated the entire forest with a white light. The object itself had a pulsing red light on top and a banks of blue lights underneath. The object was hovering or on legs. As the patrolman approached the object, it maneuvered through the trees and disappeared. At this time, the animals on a nearby farm went into frenzy. The object was briefly sighted approximately an hour later near the back gate. Number 2. The next day, 3 depressions, a half-inch deep and 7 inches in diameter, were found where the object had been sighted on the ground.
All right, so not hallucination.
Yeah. The following night, which was the 29th of December, 1980, the area was checked for radiation. Beta/gamma reading of 0.1. Do you know what that
Miller and Rowan gens? No. I'm thinking that's radiation, right?
Yeah, that's how there was radiation found. That's what I'm trying to say. Anyway, those readings were recorded with peak readings in the 3 depressions near the center of the triangle formed by the depressions. A nearby tree had moderate readings. I'm going to 0.05 to 0.07, which means nothing to me. Readings on the side of the tree toward the depressions. Number 3. Later in the night, a red sun-like light was seen through the trees. It moved about and pulsed. At one point, it appeared to throw off glowing particles and then broke into 5 separate white objects and then disappeared.
Crazy.
Immediately thereafter, 3 star-like objects were noticed in the sky, 2 objects to the north and 1 to the south, all of which were about 10 degrees off the horizon. The objects moved rapidly in sharp, regular movements and displayed red, green, and blue light.
There we go again. So yeah, this whole NJ New Jersey thing. Maybe the FAA comes up with these with their processes to copy this to always say, "Oh, see, it's probably just one of ours. We do that."
Yeah, that's a deep conspiracy. That's an anomaly that we're uncovering here.
I mean, red, green, and blue lights. That's exactly what we're seeing in New Jersey.
Yeah, exactly.
Wow.
They then turned to full circles. Oh, wait, I'm sorry. I skipped a line. The objects to the north appeared to be elliptical through an 8 to 12 power lens. They then turned to full circles. So just like orbs that we're seeing now.
Right.
The objects to the north remained in the sky for an hour or more. The object to the south was visible for 2 or 3 hours and beamed down a stream of light from time to time. Numerous individuals, including the undersigned, witnessed the activities in paragraphs 2 and 3. Charles I. Halt, Lieutenant Colonel, U.S. Air Force, Deputy Base Commander.
Damn. I can't believe they let that out. I mean, that is just proof that something happened.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't say, now, people might say, oh, it's a psyop, but I think once they broke up into 3 different things and became orbs, we didn't have, don't tell me we had something like that in the 80s. No, maybe we have it now, but I can't believe, I mean, yes, we probably had something, we for sure had something in the 80s with anti-gravity. So the ship itself could have been a psyop, but then when you see it split into things and just orbs, like basically dematerializing what it was before into something else. There's no way we had that in the 80s. There's just no way.
There's no way.
No. All right, so technology far beyond what we could engineer. When this bright white light took over, he could neither hear nor see. This is Peniston, I think. It was as if the reaction was under its own control. In fact, at one stage, Peniston believed the object was about to explode and so backed away from it in a defensive shielding position. Oh, okay. This is after he touched the hieroglyphs.
Craft, yeah.
Yeah. The object immediately rose into the air and vanished into the trees. All the while, on a nearby farmyard, various animals went into a frenzy. As it moved away, a beautiful wash of red and blue, tempered by the white light, bathed the forest below. Peniston would later recall how, despite not seeing any physical occupants inside the craft, he had the bizarre feeling that something alive was very much inside it.
Now, sorry, I don't mean to interrupt, but I do want, like, this is the woo-woo of UFO stuff I personally love. I think it's really cool. I think this is the kind of stuff where, this guy is seeing something completely unworldly and bizarre, and he goes, yeah, I got a feeling there's something in there looking at me.
Something's watching me, like it's sentient.
Right, exactly. I mean, and it so begs the question, like, now is this craft alive and looking at him, or is there,
is there something small in there?
Yeah, is there something small in there looking at me? But I just love that humans have this. This is we could do a whole podcast on this. Do humans have this low level psychic ability to know when they're being watched by someone or something?
For sure. There's so many times where I'd look, I'm like, and then someone would be staring at me, I'm like, oh, I didn't even like.
Yeah.
And that happens a lot.
Oh yeah. No, I mean, you just described all of high school for me, man.
And that was something. And that's something, basically, that he felt something, right? That something was very much intelligence. Throughout the entire episode, Peniston would make notes in his logbook. It is an item that he still has in his possession today and allows us to appreciate just what was taking place in Sussex over the Christmas holiday in 1980. He would recall as he made notes of the sheer speed of the craft that, quote, "In that moment, I knew this craft's technology was far beyond what we could engineer."
If I remember correctly, Peniston, that's how he measured the object. He did what I like to call tall person math, where he walked by it and he goes, every one of my steps is 1 meter, and it took me 3 steps to walk across this, so it's 3
Okay.
meters. And
Right.
he had written that down in his notebook.
Hilarious. The unit returned to base, however, a further brief sighting occurred around an hour later, shortly after 4 a.m. A bright object was witnessed right outside the back gate of the base. During that time, both Burroughs and Peniston were debriefed. Part of the
Their lives is what debriefed means.
that would be hilarious.
No, that's legitimately, I think,
By their wives?
No, what? No, debriefed by the military. They were told.
Oh, okay. I thought you said debriefed by their wives, and that's
No,
why.
no. It wasn't a sex thing. I was saying they were debriefed. Debriefed is in quotes, and what that really means is they were threatened with their lives by the higher ups in the military.
Exactly. Yeah, for sure. To sign this, and you better be quiet, or we kill you and your family.
Yeah, exactly. Yep.
Part of that debriefing was to inform them that they should forget they had ever seen anything.
Yep.
Suspecting correctly, it would appear that a cover-up was already in motion. Burroughs and Peniston would make their way discreetly back to the site of the encounter.
A cover-up immediately in motion.
Yes.
As soon as daylight claimed the forest grounds as its own for the day, the two witnesses made their way to the area to examine the scene. Amazingly, where the men claimed to have witnessed the object before their approach was 3 depressions in a very specific formation. This would suggest then that the object was indeed standing on legs as opposed to hovering. Peniston would ultimately make plaster cast molds of the indents.
Oh, cool.
However, once he was back in his room, strange visions began to force their way into his mind. A series of ones and zeros. Hopefully, our listeners out there, and I'm explaining this for you, Mom. Hi. Ones and zeros is binary code. It's used in programming computers.
Exactly.
These digits would literally flood his mind and force him to write down the sequences in the exact order they were coming to him. It didn't take him long to realize he was viewing and indeed recalling binary code.
Wow.
Following the decoding of this binary message by expert Joe Luciano, the apparent results were fascinating, and they are. The message read, that's just a short quote. Exploration of humanity 6668100 continuous for planetary advancement.
666, huh?
Yeah, that always shows up somehow. This is my favorite part. It would then list the coordinates of several well-known and historically significant locations around the world. These would include such destinations as the Pyramid of Giza, the Nazca Mines, the Temple of Apollo in Greece, Taishan Q in China, and Sedona in Arizona. Hell yeah.
Sedona's really cool.
So weird, baby. They got aliens there, brother.
So Pyramid of Giza, Nazca Lines, the Temple of Apollo, and Tai Shan Ku in China, and Sedona, Arizona. Very interesting places. Well, good they left out Jerusalem.
You know what? We should do a field trip to Sedona, and that's somewhat close by.
Yeah. I've gone there.
In a 3 or 4 day weekend.
That's really cool. Really cool. There's lots to do there. Lots of hiking you can do. Definitely the energy feels. Although, when did I go? Like over 10 years ago, I think, or 12 years ago.
Even more bizarre was the apparent messages that read, "Eyes of your eyes." Furthermore, the origin year was 8100. Might this mean then that the aliens were not aliens, but humans like us? Eyes of your eyes.
Interesting.
And that they didn't hail from another planet or part of the cosmos, but from another place in time. If interpretation of the year is correct, over 6,000 years in the future. And here's a picture of the notebook with all the zeros and ones, the binary code.
Nuts how they actually meant something. And them using binary code, that is a human thing, because I'm not
Yeah.
saying zeros and ones are, but ASCII, right, which is the language that they use, that these zeros and ones that some human made. I don't know if he knew ASCII, Peniston, right? Is he the one who had the
Yeah,
vision?
he had, if I remember the story correctly, and on this subject, I'm like 60% sure I'm right. He wrote down these ones and zeros in the following days after this
Mhm.
event, and he carried around the journal for years because that time he could not get the zeros and ones out of his head, and he couldn't get it out
So
of his head.
nuts.
And so he wrote down this journal, and it was like something crazy, like 10, 15 years later, he
Yeah.
showed it to somebody, and they were like, dude, this is a message. Like, he had no idea what it was as
Oh, all right.
he was writing it down. I really wish they had the full transcripts of the binary code, though, because they talk about some weird stuff in there too. I
Here,
think,
Peniston, 01s. What
yeah,
would you call it? What'd you call it? Transcript?
yeah. Jamie, pull that up.
um, let's see if they have it here. Let's try this. What's this? Did it share it?
Yeah, no, I'm seeing it right now. I'm just going through this. I was going through this article. Yeah, keep scrolling down, see if there's a, because they talk. They talk about High Brazil, I believe, as well. I don't know if you know about High Brazil.
No, what's that?
Um, now I'm gonna do my own little Google search.
Binary code. Here it is.
I think I know what it is, and I don't want to say it and be completely wrong. Oh wait,
So,
you've got it. Looks like.
exploration of humanity 6668100, and then it looks like it's a GPS
Yeah.
coordinate.
Okay. So maybe I'm mixing up my stories here.
Continuous
High
for planetary
Brazil.
advance. Fourth coordinate, continuat UQS CBPR. But if he was making that up, none of this would align.
Right. Exactly. So, hold on. I'm on the Wikipedia. So High Brazil. Okay, I was right about High Brazil exist. Not well. Okay, so let me read this really quick. Brazil with an S, not a Z, also
Right.
known as High Brazil with its HY Brazil,
Mhm.
is a phantom island said to lie in the Atlantic Ocean west of Ireland. Irish myths described it as cloaked in mist, except for one day every 7 years when it becomes visible, but still cannot be reached. I don't know if it's
What?
relevant to this case.
Yes.
Um,
Yeah. Wait, yeah. Why'd you bring that up again?
I could have sworn it was in the binary.
The locations.
Yeah, I could, or
Brazil. Here you go. Here you go.
did
Found
I
it.
get it? I was right.
Yeah. Coordinate
Hell
number,
yeah,
latitude,
love being
longitude.
right.
Number from pages 1 to 5 and pages 14 to 16 finalized. High Brazil.
Yeah. Okay.
So you're saying there's an island that's
I'm saying
obfuscated usually.
there is
Yeah.
an island that only exists in legends that has that I don't think any. I mean, it's impossible to say if anyone's found it in real life. But I was just I was just bringing it up because I know it was. I was like pretty sure it was mentioned in the binary code that was given to Peniston.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you're
there it
right.
is.
It's on page 14. But
Okay.
yeah, legendary Phantom Island. And then the Portara of Naxos, that's the Great Door. Mount Taishan is the most famous sacred mountain of China. Nazca Lines of Peru. Nuts.
You know, it's bizarre that all of these essentially holy sites or legendary sites, he was able, without even knowing what binary code was able to show up in his binary message. Uh, anyway, that was, sorry to sidetrack us. That was just,
No, not at all. That's more information. We need that stuff. We're investigating.
yeah, exactly.
I'm gonna put that in the show notes. Binary message, just so people can
Yeah,
access
no,
it.
I think
Really
that,
cool stuff.
yeah. I mean, he got a, that's why I brought it up, really, is because I was disappointed with how little information was covered in this article talking about the binary code, because he got a lot of stuff.
That's nuts to look at all those locations.
Well,
And the whole eyes
and-
of eyes and advancement of humans, right? Was it? Or no, the planetary advancement.
yeah, but I mean, this is why again, this is another reason why I brought it up, is because Hypersilla is mentioned, and all of the other locations that are mentioned in the binary code are real places that humans know about and live in. Sedona, Arizona. I'm not sure it's a real place.
Haha, no, it is. I've been there.
Hypersilla, as far as we're told, is not a real place.
The legendary Phantom Island of Ireland, high in Brazil, is appearing on maps from 1325 to the 1800s. In Irish myth, it was said to be clouded in mist, except for one day every 7 years when it became visible, but still could not be reached. Yeah, just like you said. Cool stuff.
Yeah.
So on most maps, the island was located roughly 321 kilometers, 200 miles off the west coast of Ireland in the North Atlantic Ocean.
It's kind of like what's that famous map that had all of Antarctica mapped out?
It's a Turkish dude. Oh man.
Yeah. It's okay, but it's another one of those things where we have these ancient maps that are like almost perfect, except for one little tiny thing that doesn't make sense. You know, it's crazy.
Yeah, I mean Antarctica. How they know Antarctica was there? It was supposedly not. And it wasn't frozen.
Right. Yeah, that's the other thing. Little strange. Little strange.
Yeah, just a little. Was it me now? I think, or was it you? Yeah, my turn.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. So the importance of Charles Halt's sighting and memorandum. Furthermore, upon Charles Halt's arrival at the base the following day, the area would show a significant increase in radiation levels. Even more intriguing, a nearby tree showed signs of increased radiation, but only on the side that was facing towards the object stood. It was during this visit by Halt that a second sighting occurred. On the night of the 28th December, while attending a party on the base. A party, huh? An officer would seek Halt. They're hallucinating.
It was that. Well, see, this is the argument that a lot of people use. They say they were all drunk, which is absolute insanity from someone who's a recovering alcoholic.
Right, exactly. I mean, I think hallucinations probably happen if you stayed up for like days drinking. Maybe that's because you haven't slept.
Well, hallucinations for me occurred after I quit drinking.
I went, part of the recovery, right?
Yeah, I'd go cold turkey. Anyway, we don't have to get into it, but I'm just saying, I don't think hallucinations of this scale, and that would be heavy drinking.
But then, you'd be passed out.
Yeah,
or not remember.
But I mean, this is one of the excuses that quote unquote debunkers use as a reason as to why this isn't real, which is stupid, just totally horseshit.
So while attending a party on the base, an officer would seek Halt out to inform him the UFO is back.
Yeah.
Halt was in the presence of higher ranking officers at the time. He would receive discreet orders to investigate the incident. However, in between the lines, he was under no illusion that his superiors wished him to discredit the incident regardless of his findings. We should note Halt's conduct. His openness and even his use of words in his report have all contributed to the incident being as well documented as it is true. However, as he was investigating the area, a glowing red object appeared, and it was moving at a considerable pace through the woodland. It was at this time that Halt pressed record on a small tape recorder he had brought with him. The recordings would eventually find its way to the public. It is an excellent peek into not only the authenticity of the incident, but the genuine anxiety and occasional fear of the men involved in the encounter. And what's more, Halt's dialogue certainly does nothing to discredit the incident. And furthermore, it was during the encounter that the object rose into the air and broke into 5 separate white objects and disappeared. Much like if we will recall how the craft over Kent did 2 weeks previously. And what is already a bizarre incident, coincidence surely can't be considered a serious explanation.
Yeah, so we have some of the, I don't know if they're shared in this article, but we the public, I mean, have some of these recordings.
You want to hear it?
Yeah, but I just want to say really quickly, it's like very, very little of what like they had. I think they say they have 10 hours of recorded footage, and only a fraction of it was able to be released to the public.
Yeah, I think we got like 20 minutes or something like that,
Yeah,
or half an hour. It's you want to do this one?
sure. It's definitely coming this way. Pieces of it are shooting off. At one stage, Halt states there's no doubt about it. There is some type of strange flashing red light ahead. If that wasn't enough to ensure anyone who would listen to the recording that the experience was genuine, the anxiousness in Halt's voice is palpable as he blurts, "It's coming this way." I don't want to do a voice for it. Just pretend, audience, that I'm doing a voice for this guy. "It's coming this way. It's definitely coming this way. Pieces of it are shooting off. There is no doubt about it. This is weird. Now we are observing what appears to be a beam coming down to the ground. This is unreal."
Dude.
As the group, led by Halt, continued to watch, another glowing object came into view and hovered overhead. Suddenly, it too fired a laser-like beam directly down to the ground. The impact point was only several feet in front of them. Good Lord
Huh.
Almighty, how scary would that be?
Yeah.
Then the object made its way to the bunkers along the base. Here, according to many reports, is the secret base of nuclear weapons.
Of course.
It always is about nuclear weapons.
Always.
We should note, though, claims of nuclear weapons come from researchers and their quote unquote sources and not from Halt. Yeah, military people can't say where nuclear weapons are.
No, of
So
course
it makes sense this comes from researchers and not the people who are living and
Right.
working at the base. Although he has not outright denied such weapons residing on the base, his security oath prevents him from commenting more.
Mhm.
And that's one of the biggest, I won't say problems about this case.
Yeah.
Because it's not a problem. It's one of the barriers as to understanding what happened here is I mentioned this at the top. They're not allowed to talk about, so much
Mhm.
of what was happening at the base. Anyway, the UFO systematically fired the strange beams down towards each of the bunkers. In 1983, through a FOIA request, Halt's memo would find its way into the public domain.
Nice.
Yeah, good job, whoever that requested that.
Yeah.
Once UFO researchers had examined it for the extremely rich content that it contains, Halt was dragged into the limelight somewhat. While he, like Peniston and Burroughs, have not actively sought attention or the spotlight, nor have they shied away from telling their account where appropriate. And what's more, their account remains largely unchanged since the Christmas week of 1980. And the recording is below. So let's listen to some of this.
Yeah. It's about 21 minutes, but let's see. So what you're about to hear is the actual recording made by Lieutenant Colonel Charles Halt.
150 feet or more from the initial, I should say, suspected impact point. Having a lift car, we can't get the light on to work. Seems to be some kind of mechanical problem. Let's send back, get another light on. Meantime, we're going to take some readings at the Geiger counter and chase around the air a little bit, waiting for another light on to come back in. Still hanging up? The security control. Yes, that's one of the pod number. Okay, we're now approaching area within about 25, 30 feet. What kind of readings are we getting? Anything? Just minor clicks. Minor clicks. What are the impressions? There's more. Is that a little bigger they are? Well, there's one more well designed. The security control? We're still getting clicks. Can we read that on a scale? Yes, sir. We're now on the 5/10 scale, and we're reading about third, fourth increment. Okay, we're still comfortably safe here. You don't have a light on, all gas ready. Security. Can you have them? There's still minor readings. The second pod indentation. Security. This one's good. Let's go to the third one over here.
So they're taking readings of the markers, right? Is that what's happening? And then the red light comes up, I think.
Yes, now I'm getting some residual. I can read now. The meter's definitely giving a pulse. Okay, so I was going to say, let's go to the center of the area next and see what kind of reading we get out there. You're reading the clicks. I can't hear the clicks. Yes, sir. Not about the center, Bruce? Okay, let's go to the center. Yes, I get it. That's the best deflection needle I've seen yet. Okay, can you give me an estimation? We're on the 0.5 scale. We're getting... We have a couple readings. That's approximately 01:25 hours. We're getting right at a half of a milliround. Last point. I haven't seen it go any higher. Yes, it is. This is what we would assume would be the dead center. Just pick it up more as you go along the whole area. Up to 7/10 or 7 units, let's call it, on the 0.5 scale. Okay, why don't we do this? Why don't we make a sweep? Here, I've got my gloves on now. Let's make a sweep out around the whole area, about 10 foot out, and make a perimeter run around it. Starting right back here at the corner. Back at the same first corner where we came in. Let's go right back here. Don't let it depend upon you counting the clicks. Right. Okay, let's start it. Then I can put the light on it and sweep around it. It would flag. In the same direction towards the center. That's interesting. Let's go this way around the circle here. Turn it back down here. Picking up on your collection. Let me see that. That's kind of funny. That's you're right about the abrasion. I've never seen a tree that's never seen a pine tree that's been damaged react that fast. I got a bottle to put that in. Yeah, you got a sampling bottle? Just go ahead. Yeah, here. Let's stick this on the ground. Okay, from now on, let's identify that as point number 1. That stake there. So you all know where it is. We have to sketch it. You got that set, Nevels? Yes, sir. Okay. Closest to the wood bridge base. Be point 1. And let's go clockwise from there. First tree. The one between Mark 2 and 3. Meantime, I'm going to look at a couple of these trees over here. Side to side. Very strange. We're looking at the same tree we took the sample off with this, what do you call it, star scope? Star. You're getting a definite heat reflection off the tree, about 3 to 4 feet off the ground. Yes, where the spot is. Same place where the spot is. We're getting a heat. The spot on the tree directly behind us. I picked up the same thing. The one off to your right. 3 trees in the area, immediately adjacent to the site, within 10 feet of the suspected landing site. We're picking up heat reflection off the trees. What's that again? Well, shine a light on again, Bob. Well, you have trouble getting control? Stop. Light on. Hey, this is eerie.
Okay, it shows up, I think.
Hot spot. This is strange. Here, someone want to look at the spots in the ground? Whoops, let you know. We're walking all over the place, sir. Okay, let's step back, not walk all over. Come back here, somebody put a beam on them. Or you're going to have to be back 10 or 15 feet. You see it? Okay, fine. Okay, lights off. What do you think about the spot? Yeah. Okay. Looking out, spot number 1 to the... Well, it really isn't center. It's slightly off center. It's right there. 4, depending on the point on it. Yes. So there's a positive after effect? Yes, there is definitely. That's on the center spot. There is an after effect. What does that mean? It means when the lights are turned off, once we are focused in and allow time for the eyes to adjust, we are getting an indication of a heat source coming out of that center spot, which will show up on the heat or some form of energy. It's hardly heat at this stage of the game. Looking directly overhead, one can see an opening in the trees, plus some freshly broken pine branches on the ground underneath. Looks like someone came off about 15 to 20 feet up. Some small branches about an inch or less in diameter. 0148, we're hearing very strange sounds out of the farmer's barnyard animals. It's very, very active, making an awful lot of noise.
Yes, in a pigmentation.
You just saw a light where? Wait, no, slow down. Where?
Right in this position here, straight ahead, in between the tree. There it is again. Watch, straight ahead off my flash right there. So there it is.
Hey, I see it too. What is it?
We don't know, sir.
So can I get some? Yeah, it's a strange, small red light. Looks to be out maybe a quarter to half mile, maybe further out. I'm gonna switch off. The light is gone now. It was approximately 120 degrees from the site. Is it back again?
Yes, sir.
What God's flashlight said. Let's move out to the edge of the clearing so we can get a better look at it. See if you can get the star scope on it. The light's still there, and all the barnyard animals have gotten quiet now. Yeah, we're heading about 110 to 120 degrees from the site out through to the clearing now. Still getting a reading on the meter. About 2 clicks. Meter jump 3 to 4 clicks, getting stronger.
Now it's stopped. Now it's coming up. Hold on. There we go. It's about approximately 4 foot off the ground. It's coming to 110 degrees.
All right, just turn the meter off. Got to say that again. About 4 feet off the ground, about 110 degrees, getting a reading of about 4 clicks.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, but
It's good. Now it's dying.
no, it's not. I think it's something other than the ground. I think it's something variable
About
here.
the tree right over.
We just found the first night bird we've seen. We're about 150 or 200 yards from the site. Everything else is just deathly calm. There's no doubt about it. There's some type of strange flashing red light ahead.
Yeah, it's yellow.
I saw a yellow tinge in it too. Weird. It appears to be maybe moving a little bit this way. It's brighter than it has been.
Yellow.
It's coming this way. It is definitely coming this way. Pieces of it are shooting off. There is no doubt about it. This is weird.
To the left.
Yeah, definitely moving left.
Two lights. One light to the front,
Okay.
one light to the left.
Keep the flashlights off. There's something very, very strange. Keep the headset on. See if it gets any stronger. Okay. Give us a rundown.
Notation that this is on a beta reading, too.
It's on the beta reading?
Beta
Okay.
shield has been removed.
Okay. Pieces are falling off it again.
It just moved to the right.
Yeah.
Off to the right.
Strange. Oh, well, why again to the left? Let's approach to the edge of the woods up there. Can you undo without lights? Let's do it carefully. Come on. Okay, we're looking at the thing. We're probably about 200 to 300 yards away. It looks like an eye winking at you. It's still moving from side to side. And when you put the star scope on it, it sort of has a hollow center, a dark center. It's like the pupil of an eye looking at you and winking. And the flash is so bright through the star scope that it almost burns your eye. We passed the farmer's house and across in the next field. Now we have multiple sightings of up to 5 lights with a similar shape and all, but they seem to be steady now rather than a pulsating or glow with a red flash. We just crossed the creek, and we're getting what kind of readings now? Getting through 3 good clicks on the meter, and we're seeing strange lights in the sky. 244, we're at the far side of the second farmer's field, and made sighting again about 110 degrees. This looks like it's clear out to the coast. It's right on the horizon. Moves about a bit and flashes from time to time. Still steady or red in color. Also, after negative readings in the center of the field, we're picking up slight readings, 4 or 5 clicks now on the meter. 305, we see strange strobe-like flashes to the rather sporadic, but there's definitely something, some kind of phenomenon. 305, at about 10 degrees horizon directly north, we've got 2 strange objects, half-moon shape, dancing about with colored lights on them. But guess to be about 5 to 10 miles out, maybe less. The half moons have now turned into full circles. Because I know there was an eclipse or something there for a minute or 2.
Weird.
315 now, we've got an object about 10 degrees directly south, 10 degrees off the horizon. And the ones in the north are moving, one's moving away from us.
It's moving out fast.
This one on the right's heading away too.
Yeah, they're both heading north. Hey, here he comes from the south. He's coming toward us now. Now we're observing what appears to be a beam coming down to the ground. This is unreal. 330 or 0330, and the objects are still in the sky, although the one to the south looks like it's losing a little bit of altitude. We're turning around and heading back toward the base. The object to the south is still beaming down lights to the ground. 0400 hours, one object still hovering over Woodbridge Base at about 5 to 10 degrees off the horizon, still moving erratic and similar lights and beaming down as if they're here.
Wow. Wow. That was really cool. Dude, super scary.
Very scary. But yeah, no, definitely super cool too.
So he basically recorded that, and then when this story came out and then the memorandum came out, he shared what he recorded.
Yeah, from what I understand.
Very cool. My God, beams coming. So they were scanning something, obviously.
Yeah, definitely.
And if they came with that message of peace or something, then and if they are from the future or a future human sent this thing back, how many times do we have to be warned about nukes?
Yeah, seriously.
Nothing's done about it. Just what did General Gabriel remove on his last-minute visit to the twin bases? Some aspects of the official version of events was, to some, very much open to debate. Not least, some of the main witnesses themselves. When the HALT memorandum entered the public arena, there was no doubt whatsoever that at least certain aspects of the incident had not been put across to the public in their fullest. And that is perhaps being very kind. Of course, the fact that the authorities involved felt the need to downplay and discredit the incident should surely make us question why, as does why key witnesses would have to sign secrecy oaths for a period of 30 years. Of course, once the 3 decades time period had elapsed, each could speak of their encounter with no threat whatsoever of criminal charges, or worse, which is exactly what they did. And what should we make of the sudden visit to both of the air bases of Woodbridge and Bentwaters by General Gabriel in the aftermath of sightings? Gabriel was one of the most powerful U.S. military officers on the European continent, if not the entire U.S. Air Force. During his quick visit to the air bases in question, he would remove several items of interest in the investigation of the incident. Although there is no record of exactly of these items, it is largely believed they would go to Ramstein in Germany.
Oh, I love that band.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, that very high-ranking officials in the U.S. military had an immense interest in the activities over southern England in the final days of 1980 is obvious. Why this might have been, however, is less obvious. And while the numerous investigations into the incident over the years since has clearly demonstrated that something must definitely took place, pinning down exactly what that something might be has proven all too elusive.
Reasons within reasons to cover up events. If there was a cover-up of some kind by the U.S. military and possibly even the British government and armed forces in sympathy with their American guests, then we have to ask why. Was it merely a case of not wishing to admit that the skies overhead are not as protected as we might think? Or might the conclusion prove to be more direct and darker? Is this an example of some kind of collusion between shadow governments and an alien race from another world? We have examined such claims on several occasions. Whatever we might think of them, they are certainly in abundance and usually with great detail. Really quick, I want to ask you, do you believe that there is an agreement with some of our top officials and aliens?
Yes, I definitely think that. I think, but we're with the dark ones, right? They're just giving us technology and they can do whatever they want. I believe that because there's some really evil force that's in charge of this planet, and it seems like that our leaders are going along with it,
Or were the crafts do the crafts witness have they been a secret military craft? After all, claims of the TR-3B, a distinct triangular shaped craft, appears to be one that black budget projects of the United States. Perhaps an interested side thought here is The idea from Peniston that the occupants of the triangular crafts were not alien but human, and that they were from the future, no less. Wild. Does the fact that we have these triangular shaped experimental crafts right now corroborate with the advanced travelers in the future might use them also? Might these TR-3B top secret vehicles one day in the future become some kind of time machine
Yeah.
or have time machine capabilities? Perhaps, as speculative as it is, do they already right now? Might the incident in Rendlesham Forest in December 1980 not be one of alien visitation, but some kind of bizarre time travel mission for reasons equally unknown? It is certainly an interesting theory for the obvious reasons. Not only might such a theory explain the Rendlesham Forest incident, for example, it might also provide an explanation for a large number of UFO sightings, encounters, and incidents.
Yeah.
I,
Now this is Clifford Stone. Yeah.
I was just gonna say I don't know how I feel about time travel. I think, man, I don't know.
These crafts, the type of propulsion, if these crafts exist, and if you have one of these crafts, it itself is a time machine, as in it warps space time, to get from one point to another. So by default, they're time machines. Now, can you pinpoint where in time? I guess if you have a really strong AI, a really powerful AI, that's the only way to do it, really.
I just, I don't know. I don't know if I believe in time travel in that sense. Like I know, top physicists have said if you essentially speed around a black hole for a little bit of time, your perspective, it'll be a lot longer on the outside. But that's time traveling to the future, and that I kind of can get behind. I mean, we're all time traveling to the future, right? One minute at a
Just
time.
either slower or faster, yeah.
But then, it's all what all the time travel movies have been about. If you can go in the past, you've got to think about the butterfly effect. You've got to consider you're changing the entire course of history just by being there, which kind of breaks the laws of physics in my mind. Not laws of physics, but you understand.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely.
It breaks so many rules that we know about the universe.
It can get confusing. I mean, some other scientists have said, well, if you do, the only way you could go back to the past is that you go back to a parallel universe. So it's not really where you come from.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was going to say.
But you can come to one. You can come back to one that's very similar to yours, right? And affect that one, but you won't be affecting the timeline you came from. Something like that.
And parallel universes, the whole multiverse theory, that's a whole nother can of worms, and
right.
Man, I just think it's incredibly bad idea to even think about time travel on that scale.
There's that great book, Closer Encounters by Giorgiani, Jason Giorgiani, and he talks about time traveling Nordics, and he thinks that's what's going on. Very fascinating, his theories, philosopher, but they're just theories.
Yeah.
Missing files. That there was a cover-up regarding the true events of the Rendlesham Forest incident is, at least in UFO circles, beyond any reasonable doubt. The amount of whistleblower testimony, the HALT memorandum, and such information as that volunteered by Clifford Stone would all point to such a cover-up. In 2011, the National Archives would announce that several files relating to the Rendlesham incident were missing. Files due for public release, no less. It was to some a classic, if blatantly obvious, of a suppressing of information. Perhaps what made this admission even more shocking, at least to some, is that no one would recall when the files were lost or on whose authorization, nor did there appear to be even the slightest inkling of where the missing information might be. To say such a move was a red flag to a bull to some in the UFO and conspiracy world would be an understatement. Furthermore, in 2015, HALT would claim that he was in possession of new evidence and witness statements that would prove the events at Rendlesham were a genuine contact encounter. One was seriously damning to the official story, and one that seriously undermined it was the testimony of radar operators, one of whom would state that they witnessed a craft go across their 60-mile scope in 2 or 3 seconds. Just to put that in perspective, this would require a speed of thousands of miles per hour to achieve. Yeah. Suddenly, the claims that the incident was nothing more than the reflection of searchlight from Orford Ness Lighthouse seem less and less likely, as would further finds when a movie was filmed on location. That's right, it was a film.
So the whole lighthouse thing, it's been
Yeah.
brought up and used by debunkers, saying if you listen to the recording, it because he goes, "Oh, there's the light. It's gone again. Oh, there it is again."
That's hilarious.
And
So the lighthouse.
they say it's the lighthouse. Yeah.
Wow. So what's this now? Cables?
Cables from 1980, far in advance of what we have now. The former airbase at Bentwaters is now under private ownership, with many of the units under lease to other private companies. Wow, what kind of company would lease out an old? Well, never mind. I just all of them. They all would.
Of course, yeah.
However, Simpson would speak to a telecommunications engineer who worked at the base in recent years. The company who owned it wished to have up-to-date communications and internet facilities put into the old base. This would mean stripping back all of the old network of wiring that had been there for decades.
Okay.
However, when the engineer began digging down to access this wiring so he could replace and update them, he was in absolute shock about what he saw. He would explain to Simpson that the cables were, in quotes, delivering such a powerful internet connection, but they were from 1980. He would continue, they were from 1980, and yet they were so in advance of what we even got now.
Wow.
We know this about the military. They're what?
Yeah.
50 years ahead of us?
Easily, yeah. I think 50 to 100, I think, is the policy.
Incidentally, following the making of the film, Simpson could state that it was his firm belief that the official story of Rendlesham case is unlikely to be accurate. He would state that, "I honestly believe something very strange went on there, and I believe that somewhere is evidence to prove it. I think it's an extraterrestrial encounter." Oh,
Wow.
wait, did I say not believe? Scroll up.
Where?
Scroll up right there. Incidentally, following the making of the film, Simpson would state that it was his firm belief. I think I said it wasn't his firm belief.
Yeah.
It was his firm belief that the official story of the Rendlesham case is unlikely to be accurate, as in what the military said happened wasn't accurate. But
so wait, he's basing that because the wires on the ground were very advanced, so he thinks that those were alien too? The wires were?
No, I just get the feeling that the government was ahead of the schedule, ahead of the curve there. Although it just begs the question why they would leave advanced technology lying around like that. Right. As if to just to clarify his point, he offers the lighthouse theory, for example, is rubbish.
Rubbish.
Yeah, I agree there.
Which means garbage for the Americans.
Lighthouses don't fly down into forests, split up into 5 different lights, and zap off into space at Mach 3.
Yep.
I don't know. Have you seen military lighthouses? They can do a lot of crazy things. Furthermore, how likely is it that that such a light would get mistaken by up to 20 witnesses from the U.S. Air Force, and not just random military people? People who lived at that base would not get confused by the lighthouse.
And apparently there was these lights over Rendlesham in 2015. Did you see this one?
They're back.
Looks like the helicopter is chasing them or something.
Yeah, wow, look at that. That's cool. Now it's running away. It's like,
yeah, nope. He's like, screw this.
Yeah, nope. All right, that's enough for today. I'm going home. Go home to me and my family.
Orbs. He's like, I'm out of here.
Yeah.
Wait, let's watch that again. Because he like started to die. Whoa. Yeah, they're like messing with him.
Yeah.
Whoa, what kind of turn was that he made? He's like, I'm out of here.
Yeah, he just flipped around and said, nope. He had a superior on board who didn't believe anything about UFOs and then saw this and was like, no. All right, I'm out.
Them demons.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, so the witnesses, there's some good interviews here in this video.
Good.
I would be very surprised indeed if there were not official documents somewhere hidden which will explain that something did land, but would be very surprised indeed if anybody knew what it was.
The only official U.S. document that's been released is the Halt Memo. Written in January of 1981, 2 weeks after the incidents occurred, by then Bentwaters Woodbridge Deputy Base Commander Lieutenant Colonel Charles Halt. The memo details multiple UFO encounters.
I put together sort of a, how shall I say, cleaned up version of what happened. I called it Unexplained Lights.
Even in its sanitized form, the Halt Memo graphically described extremely unusual phenomena.
Early in the morning, December 27th, saw unusual lights outside the back gate at RAF Woodbridge. The individuals reported seeing a strange glowing object described as being metallic in appearance, triangular, say 2 to 3 meters across the base. And as the patrolman approached the object, it maneuvered through the trees and disappeared. Signed, Charles I. Halt, Lieutenant Colonel, USAF, Deputy Base Commander.
I waited several weeks after I made the memo, and nothing seemed to happen, so I put the file away.
While the memo is considered by many to be definitive proof of the bizarre events that befell Halt and numerous other airmen in Rendlesham Forest, it is only the tip of the iceberg. There are many questions still to be answered. What were those unexplained lights? Why did they invade the airspace of 2 bases that house nuclear weapons? And why is the U.S. government trying to cover up what really happened? As part of its latest investigation, the Sci-Fi Channel flew Sergeant Jim Peniston and Colonel Charles Halt 5,000 miles back to Rendlesham Forest.
Oh, Jim.
For Halt and Peniston, Rendlesham Forest is a crime scene of sorts. Aided by environmental scientist Patrick Davison of Mayer Environmental, they will reconstruct the events of late December 1980. The hope is that the 2 airmen can lead Davison to the exact landing site, where he'll test for residual radiation.
We initially thought that this was an aircraft crash, at least I did. Unfortunately, everything changed about 10 minutes into the investigation, and that's why you're here.
We've got a Geiger counter for measuring gamma radiation and also a gamma spectrometer.
If radiation is still present, it could provide evidence that a craft or crafts landed in Rendlesham Forest.
We certainly could have used that the night we were out in the forest.
We got a little bit of a jaunt here. Not too bad.
Jim Peniston's search for answers to this mystery won't be easy. Much has changed in Rendlesham Forest since December of 1980.
The air temperature was 32 degrees. It was clear, crisp night. We drove down this.
Peniston was accompanied by Sergeant John Burrows and Airman First Class Edward Cabansag, who'd been transferred to Bentwaters only a few days prior.
As we were heading out, I thought this was a prank. I thought, okay, 3-4 days on with my flight, there's a big, huge mud puddle out here, and they're going to throw me in the mud. As we got closer and closer, and I could see the intensity on both the other gentlemen's face, I knew that this was really going to be something more involved than a prank.
The road was pretty hard because everything was frozen. The other problem we were having, and it's inherent in the area, is we were having a dampening effect on the radios, meaning the radio was breaking up.
It's like the closer we would get to it, we would lose communication with Central Security Control.
To this day, Peniston remains certain he handled the situation exactly by the book. You know, I'm not a military guy, so forgive me. But if I go out in the woods and I see something that is that strange, I don't stand there for 45 minutes and take pictures and notes. I go for reinforcements in a hurry.
Okay, good question. What we did is we each had interbase radios, so I had people set up as relays for the radio. We were in constant contact to a point. So during those 45 minutes, even though I wasn't receiving, didn't really mean a lot to me. But I still went and transmitted. I have to report what's going on. We outside our installation and with the resources around that base, I better be reporting every 5 minutes, or they're going to send somebody else out there. And I did not want anybody out there until I could ascertain what was in front of me.
His flight chief was actually at the back gate, relaying and monitoring this whole thing, and it would have been incumbent upon him to make the decision to up-channel, to call for help, call for 30 and 30, which means a lot of armed troops immediately.
So in other words, yours was standard operating procedure.
He operated within the parameters he should have.
There was some distortion on the perception of time. The time out there seemed to go awful fast. 30, 45 minutes felt like 2 or 3 minutes. At this point in time, I realized it wasn't an aircraft crash. Wasn't getting the smell of fuel burning. Job was identify, get the facts, report the facts, and let somebody else make the assessment. I had my notebook out, and I was taking notes.
Jim Peniston has brought a key piece of evidence back with him to Rendlesham Forest. His original notebook from the night that he encountered an unidentifiable craft.
Description of what was going on was larger white light glowing.
Burroughs would say, do you see that? Do you see what's out there at the edge of the trees? And I'm looking and I'm looking and I'm going, what are you seeing? What are you seeing? And then he extended his finger out, put my head to his end of his finger. Look at the end of my finger. It was moving left, right, and it had blue, white, yellow lights.
Approximately 10-15 meters from it, it was quite distinguishable. It was triangular in shape. It was not an aircraft, but it was a craft of some sort.
Everything that I had seen in my technical school that I was privileged under a secret clearance to see didn't look anything like that.
Certain things didn't make sense. I couldn't determine the front. That was a problem. Second, it seemed running, but no sound. Third was the aspect of having electricity in the air. I could feel it in my clothing, my hair, my skin. The next one is after I got up close to the craft, the writing changes. It changes from being written confidently to shaky. Gotta stop there. Sorry. I need a little time. Okay. Wow.
When UFO invasion at Rendlesham returns, Air Force officers meet new witnesses who can confirm they're in.
He was clearly shook.
Yeah, and did you hear about the time dilation? He said when they were getting close to it, like 2 or 3 minutes was actually.
You know, I meant to bring that up when we were talking about it, but the Peniston and Burroughs,
yeah,
they experienced a much shorter time period when they were interacting and walking around the crafts. So the whole case, it pretty much has everything. The missing time or time dilation, also very wooey, and I'm here for it. I love it.
Yeah. That mental downloads, lights, going fast, breaking up into orbs, triangular craft. I mean, it's just everything's in there. Everything.
Yeah.
Nukes.
Yeah. Always a huge part of it.
So Burroughs is not here.
I'm gonna have to watch this whole video.
Yeah, it looks really good. Science Channel. I used to always watch that. You know, the commercials for the Science Channel were always the Air Force.
Was it really?
That's who they were attracting.
Oh, that's kind of
makes sense, right?
Yeah, no, it totally makes sense.
All right, so I think here they actually taken to the site.
2 other airmen encountered what
we were somewhere between that little, I believe it's a beech tree.
Working with the Sci-Fi Channel, Colonel Charles Halt and Sergeant Jim Peniston have come back to investigate the strange events of December 1980. This is the first time that the 2 airmen have been to Rendlesham Forest together. For 2 decades, they've assumed that they were talking about the same landing site.
I got a problem here.
You do?
Yeah. From this point, where was the original landing site that you think?
Over in here is where I was taken to and where I was shown the 3 indentations.
We got a problem.
You think you were at another place?
I was at another location.
That's interesting.
Mm-hmm.
I can show you where the 3 indentations I saw were.
Let's take a look at it. Take a look at it.
On the evening Colonel Halt conducted his investigation, he brought along a tape recorder to chronicle the events. The result is one of the most unsettling pieces of evidence ever to surface in a UFO case.
he recorded 18 minutes of what was a 4-hour event. It is the most incredible tape.
I'm sure you remember we met back, oh goodness, a long time ago. It was a long 9 or 10 years ago.
Now, as part of its investigation, the Sci-Fi Channel has brought Colonel Halt and Sergeant Peniston face-to-face with one of the Rendlesham Forest incident's strongest skeptics. Vince Thurkettle was the forester in charge of the Rendlesham area in 1980. He believed there were earthly explanations for the events.
Okay, based on the evidence that you've seen, okay, I take it that it's not enough.
Well,
right? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, it is.
Okay, that's fine.
It has to be. It has to be, because I don't doubt you, gentlemen. On the tape, you know, all those years ago, everything I hear, I can picture. It sounds genuine.
This is weird.
But some things are unhelpful to the case. It would have been very, very helpful if there wasn't a lighthouse.
Orfordness Lighthouse.
Oh, shut up.
We were made to sign documents without reading them, minimizing the events. They also showed us a film, and the film was gun camera.
All right, we covered all that. But so Burroughs wasn't there for a reason.
Yeah.
Burroughs was extremely injured by this event.
Injured? I hadn't heard that.
Yeah, and this came out March 2015. Vet says government has acknowledged he was injured by UFO while on duty. So he was not allowed. Burroughs was not allowed insurance claims for his medical injuries that he had from touching, because he's the one who touched it, right? And the reason why he couldn't get any insurance claims is because his medical records were classified.
Oh, yeah. See, this is what we were talking about earlier, that there's so much more to the story that we don't know. I mean, it's a compelling story with all the, stuff we talked about in that last article, but there's so much more to this that is not shared with the public.
Right. So with the help of a lawyer and U.S. Senator John McCain, out of all guys, his records have been corrected and he has received his full medical disability.
Only 30 years after the case.
Imagine. He and his lawyer now claim their victory represents the U.S. government de facto acknowledgement of the existence of UFOs. So he was there.
Yeah.
Took place. And it is acknowledgement if they declassified those and he got injured. So it was not a lighthouse like that idiot was saying.
Yeah. I think he was just talking about Halt, because Halt was the one that went out there later with the recorder, right?
Yeah. True. The day after.
Yeah.
Peniston was there, believes his health issues stem from his proximity to the UFO. He has since found a document that was created by UK Defense Intelligence that also speculates this could be the case. A section of the report that covers UAP radiation speculates the well-reported Rendlesham Forest Bentwaters event is an example where it might be postulated that several observers were probably exposed to UAP radiation for longer than normal UAP sighting periods. Burroughs has since suffered from cognitive heart failure, just like Jake Barber.
Congestive heart failure, which he says has been told by scientists can be caused by radiation exposure. Oh, so while living in Arizona. Interesting. I wonder if he was in Sedona.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it doesn't say. They claimed he was on the service at the time. Burroughs sought the help of a lawyer. Okay. Well, it's good John McCain did that.
Yeah. McCain did a lot of things right. And of course, he's a veteran, and he
was a veteran.
I respect him for that.
He was a veteran. I even did calls for him when I was. Oh God, how young was I? I can't believe I was a Democrat. I wanted McCain to win. Who was he going up against? Was that? It might have been because he was going up against Bush.
No, he was going up against Obama.
Was it? No, because
I was there. It was Obama's first term. It was him and McCain.
He must have ran before that then, because I was out of that. I was out of that city when Obama ran. He must have been going up against W. Bush. God, I hate W. Bush. W. But in hindsight, he was hilarious.
Yeah. Well, never mind.
What?
No, I was just gonna say that I love that. Well, I don't love. I laugh at the fact that Democrats love George W. Bush now.
Yeah, exactly. And they rehabilitated him. Now he's
Yeah.
an artist.
Yeah, he
You
just
know?
paints little funny dog pictures. He's just like a goofy old grandpa. It's like you idiots called for his head for the entire time he was in office.
They thought that was a good thing too, and then even Cheney joining them, they thought that was a good thing.
Man.
So interesting enough, we all know about Gary Nolan, right? But this is what brought Gary Nolan into the UFO field, is that all these injuries happened, and Gary has a device that looks into blood in a way where he could tell what was going on in that person's body. So
That's
the CIA, the CIA and an aerospace, he's not saying who the aerospace executive is, came to him, and that's what he's been doing so far. And even Jake Barber came to him, and he looked at his records and saying he saw the exact same thing that happened to Burroughs. So here's just a quick thing. He was on the Tucker Show while he was on Fox.
Because they had asked around and said, okay, we have these people who've been injured. And one of the things that they wanted to do in a complete medical workup of these individuals was to look at the blood. It's a natural thing to do. If you're looking for an inflammation, the blood is one of the places you might look to get a sort of a more complete list of everything that's going on in the body. And so that's when somebody said, well, if you want to do this, do it properly, you got to go talk to this guy Nolan at Stanford, because he has the world's best instrument that he's developed for doing it. And that's what started it.
So what was your view of UFOs, UAPs at the time?
You know, I was kind of a science fiction fan, and I was interested in it as any mainstream individual might have been. But it wasn't something that I had any kind of focus on in my life.
So you had no deep knowledge of the topic?
No deep knowledge.
Were you surprised that a U.S. government agency was doing this kind of work? I mean, presumably the question was settled for them. They didn't wonder if UFOs were real. They knew at that point, right?
Right. No, of course. I mean, I said, first I thought it was a joke. I mean, I really thought that somebody was about to put me on candid camera and make a joke of it. But as they started showing me the data, and they were deadly serious. I mean, I tried to lure them into making a joke about it. They were deadly serious about it, because they had basically said at that point, people have died. And then they showed me some brain images of individuals who'd been damaged, and internal scarring you can see through MRIs. And, you know, it's data. It's unmistakable. You have to say, okay, well, what did that? I can conjecture or hypothesize about, you know, is it the Russians? Is it UFOs or whatever? But the fact is, there is data that says something is happening, and so we need to study it. And that's what a scientist should do.
So, of course. Oh, absolutely.
You know, but my point has been that whatever this stuff is hundreds of technology revolutions ahead of us, and understandings of physics that we don't appreciate.
Right.
So it's kind of like, I mean, the old saw is send a cell phone back to a Neanderthal and see what he does with it. You know, pound rocks.
Eats it, yeah. So it sounds like in the world that you live in, it is taken for granted, which is assumed to be true, that this stuff is real.
Yes. Yeah, it's 100% real. I mean, there's just no doubt about it. I mean, the data is real. And this is what when I have these conversations with other scientists who have told me, Gary, you're going to ruin your reputation. It's like, well, my reputation has been always going against the grain, and look at where I am. I'm perfectly fine going against the grain. This is real, and we need to pay attention to it. And it's just unscientific to not study it.
Yes, amen.
Right? I mean, it's just wrong. And if you're going to be that way, you're a priest. You're not a scientist.
Amen.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you. And now it's crazy that this event has carried on, you know, until today. And now Nolan, he's out there, and he's with the Soul Institute. He's even working with Jake Barber now.
And this is why people equate it to Roswell. I mean, it's such a huge event that changed a lot of people's lives.
Yeah. And I don't know why it didn't come up in what we covered, or did it? Did he see beings? Because I remember we played on another episode a while back. It was new. It was either they had a new interview or something, but he said that he saw 3 beings, each in each light, in each orb or something.
I in the article we just covered, I think I'm sorry, Peniston. I know it's Peniston. I clearly have dick on my brain. Peniston said he could sense that he was being watched, but in the article we covered, it didn't say anything about him seeing 3 beings in the light or anything like that.
Right. So I guess that came up later or something. Maybe he was more comfortable sharing that and not in the past, you know?
Yeah.
So I mean, that's all we have for that so far. I mean, I'm sure more things are going to get uncovered from Rendlesham because
Yeah,
there's
what's
a
the
lot of
30-year? Let me see. 90, 2000, 2010, 2020. That's 40 years. So because they had a 30-year,
30 years. Yeah.
but it's long past 30 years and nothing.
90 to yeah, and that's why they said that's why I guess the missing files, right? In the National Archives.
Yeah.
Those are gone. But they're talking normally. There's interviews.
Yeah, and I do like these are, military guys who they're not out here writing books.
No, or
They're
selling
not
anything.
out here getting interviewed every day by News Nation. They're just guys who
Right.
something happened to them and they want to share it, but they're not looking for fame. They're not looking for money or power or anything like that.
Yep, they're at the right place at the right time, or wrong
Well,
place,
wrong
wrong
place,
time.
yeah.
For Burroughs, yeah, for sure. But I'm happy that he finally got compensated for his health issues.
And
That's messed up.
Peniston, if this episode somehow miraculously makes its way back to you, I apologize for I keep referring to you as Peniston. That's that's just my sense of humor, and I'm not making fun of you or your last name at all. I just want you to know that.
Don't take it personally.
Please.
Well, cool. I mean, that is one crazy case. It really is. It has everything's in there.
Fantastic.
I know it's
Everyone,
always been your favorite. You've been wanting to do it for a while. Hopefully it met your expectations.
Absolutely. Yeah.
If we get a team and production and stuff like that, we can always redo it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I don't know what the future holds. I would love to go full-time into internet radio, and do a full-fledged podcast like AJ's doing over at the Y-Files.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
So we could go back through this with a team of researchers. But yeah, I do love this case. I know we've referenced it a lot. But what I really like about this is the main players, Peniston, Burroughs, Halt. I think they're trustworthy guys. I believe what they're saying.
Yeah, me too. And especially they recorded it. They put it in a memo. I mean, the whole Burroughs thing, and he's being that he got injured from something, with radiation.
Yeah, I mean, they don't seem like con men to me.
No.
And the whole story with, there was probably nukes, in the at the site, which gives it credence. I mean, excuse me, sorry.
And the whole download, right, of the binary code and
code thing. Yeah. I mean, it's just such a. It's so I love this case. It's so cool. It's so bizarre. It's so weird. And the weirder cases are, I tend to put a lot more credence into it, because it's not just, I saw a light in the sky. You know, it's the same with should we do a full episode on crop circles, by the way?
Yeah, I guess we could. I mean, do you want to go like into the history of it and stuff like that, or should we just do like the biggest famous ones that are obviously not human made? Because there are some that are just huge that showed up overnight that had messages in them. Like those are.
This is what I'm talking about. I would love to cover all of it. Because I was just trying to say, like, the crop circle stuff too is something I believe, because it's so weird, like the one with the alien face and the message.
Yeah.
And then you've got the weird symbols, and two guys say, we pole vaulted into the field and we used boards and ropes to do it. And it's just like, and those guys get credit for doing crop circles, and it's just like, no,
of course, because they're all over the media and they keep pushing their story, and that's what does it.
It's the same with this case with the lighthouse thing. You're telling me a bunch of military personnel who live on the base, who see this lighthouse every single day, they'll mistake that lighthouse for a UFO?
Exactly.
And then when you go into when they're getting interviewed and they're talking about the UFO split up, and it was a bunch of different things, like, that's, how can you say that's a lighthouse, you idiot? Like, it just, so Yeah, I love
so
this
annoying.
case. It's all from straight-laced military, no bullshit, no grifting, people.
Good
I
point. I would
I
love to see those pictures that he took.
yeah, I would too. That being said, like think about it. When you can't take a picture of a bright like light, you know what I
Yeah,
mean?
right,
So
right.
those pictures probably turned out to be crap, but I applaud him for trying. I'm sure he got one or two that were good.
Yeah, yeah. Well, and talking about big podcasts, so Sean Ryan had, God, 3 people on this week. Well, one of them was Chris Bledsoe, which apparently he was not going to release this one, Sean Ryan. But then he said it was never meant. It wasn't going to be. Oh no, it was going to be released anyway afterwards. He said that, but people that were close to him said he wasn't releasing it because he doesn't want to be affiliated with Chris Bledsoe. So, for those who don't know who Chris Bledsoe is, I think in 2011 or 2012, he had an experience with what they call the lady, and he says it's either like an angelic extraterrestrial NHI, and she told him about future events and stuff. And the government was so interested that they sent NASA. The DNI was there as well. That visited him. They were really interested in his case. Even that Tyler guy that Pasulka puts in her book. Also, he came to visit him, and so he says some crazy stuff on the podcast. He always links it to Christianity a bit, but he's pulled back from that a little, I think. But like here, he says that the lady says that evil forces in our world are trying to make, and we've talked about this on the show too, that evil forces in our world are trying to make the book of Revelation true, basically apocalypse.
No, I can totally see that. I am so sorry. I keep coughing.
That's all right, man.
Yeah, no, when people that connect the UFOs with not just Christianity but just religion overall, I can't really blame them, to be honest.
Right. Yeah. Me neither. Because it's supernatural in a way.
Yeah.
Right.
Definitely.
And you've always said we are half the experience. I think that's what happens too. Like, because he is a Christian man, she wants to make him feel more comfortable, or maybe the message will be delivered much more effectively if it's something he can relate to. It makes sense. It's part of a negotiation tactic anyway, right? You want to have the person relate to you to get what you want.
Yeah, definitely.
So here's a quick clip from that.
Awesome.
Because she told me, well, I'll tell you what she told me. This is what I put in writing, part of it. She said, there are people in power. I put this in writing in 2012. She said, there are people in power. And I'm not going to say where she focused my thoughts on that, but they're scripting the book of Revelation.
Israel.
To bring about Armageddon and the end of the world. They're doing it intentionally, and that's what she told me.
Huh.
And that's the very thing the main meat of the whole message I sent to.
Yeah, see, and that's why we link this subject to what's happening like in the Middle East, because who's pushing us to an apocalypse? Who's pushing us to war? You know what I mean? And it's not a coincidence. It's not.
Sorry, I think. Sorry.
And why would they do that? I mean, I say they do that because if you do things and you want people to believe in it, why not have it relate back to books that people believe in that are supposedly divine sources and ordained by God? Because if you end up doing something horrible, you'll say, well, God did it. Right. That's why we're taking over the Middle East, because it's God. Look, it's in the book right here.
Yeah.
I mean, it looks like they're orchestrating events to do that. The whole Gog Magog war. I mean, they pushed with all of this. They're pushing Russia and Iran closer together, and they've said for decades it's going to be Russia and Iran against Israel. And here we go. It's like, it's not a coincidence. They've been telling us that they're going to do this.
And I just want to apologize to YouTube. I understand that you're going to now take down this episode because we said something a little bit controversial. So if you're hey, listen, if you're watching this show on YouTube right now, great, you got here before it got deleted. Every other
go over to Rumble. Yeah.
Every other platform we're on. Hey guys, thank you for listening.
So let's see.
These generals. So it makes sense, right?
Who is they?
I don't know who they are.
Uh-huh.
I think they're Satanists. I think they're people that worship the dark force, that don't care for humanity and human life. And in fact, they're the total opposite of, they worship the devil. Or I don't know if there is a devil. I think it's a very dark force that is living full of dark entities that feed on you parasitically, like they'd be non-physical. They shape shift. They take your mind over. They make you do crazy things. They deceive you, make you kill somebody, go crazy. Where the angelic world are the physical beings. They can come in here and light. These beings are made of light. The dark force is a parasitic race. And whoever's aligned with that is, according to the mother, the lady, is scripted in the book of Revelation.
Yes.
They don't want it to happen.
Why did they want it to happen?
Oh, come on.
I think it's the dark force. I think that they want to snuff out God. They don't want us to have God in our heart. Why do you think they did evolution? That's the biggest, dumbest thing I ever heard in my life. That every living thing come from a mud puddle, and it can't.
You can't argue with that. You know that there is a script going on. All these clips, by the way, are from Red Koala Panda, or sorry, Red Panda Koala on X. He had his YouTube account taken down. He had hundreds of these videos, I guess, these clips because of copyright, which is too bad. But he does a lot of great work clipping these from really long interviews.
Is he the one on X that you always share with me?
Yes.
Oh,
that
cool.
one.
Okay. I saw the name of the video in the corner, and I was like, "Oh, that's got to be the Twitter guy."
Yeah. Maybe we can bring him on we can go through these news stuff with him if he wants.
Yeah,
He follows us as well. So another thing that Chris Bledsoe shared, and this is, we'll play the clip, but he also shared these tweets. Chris Bledsoe himself, he shows that Space Delta. See how you have the Sphinx looking at a star. Also here, down here, like here's a Sphinx here looking at this star, and then also you have a Sphinx looking at this star, right?
Yeah, weird. And that's why there's, I mean, obviously Sphinx. I mean, for me, maybe it's not obvious. For me, when I hear Sphinx, I think Egypt, right?
Right, exactly. Ancient Egypt.
There's so much conspiracies around, the Great Pyramids and the Sphinx and that entire region, and it's just like, oh, why is that? And then our nation's leaders are making these designs that just points to that. It just points to, well, yeah, we know the same thing that the ancient Egyptians did.
Right. Yeah, and even Edgar Casey, the psychic, I think, when was that? Early 1900s or was it late 1800s? But he said that we would find a secret like Hall of Records underneath.
Oh, I'm so glad you mentioned the Hall of Records. Yes, that's one of my favorite conspiracies of all time.
So it's supposed to happen when this star is at the horizon of the Sphinx. So he talks about that here.
Okay, dude, I'm telling you, and I've told you before, a long time ago, back when we used to do a different podcast.
Yeah.
You need to read these series of books. They're fiction, but they use all of these conspiracies and conspiracies that
I like those, yeah.
That we don't even like, stuff that we've talked about on the show, but we haven't really fully addressed. I don't know how else to explain it. So the books are called Area 51, and they're by Bob Mayer. And it
starts. Is that a fictionalized name too?
I think he was going by, if I remember correctly, his pen name was Robert Doherty, but then his real name is Bob Mayer. And he writes these series of books called Area 51. And I think, you know what, now that I'm looking, because I grew up with these books, right? This was like Harry Potter for me.
Oh, cool.
he doesn't cover Rendlesham at any point. Now that I'm thinking about all the books, but he
Yeah.
covers, the pyramids, Hall of Records, Area 51. Obviously,
Mhm.
I think Roswell comes up once or twice, but the conspiracy of humans working with aliens using alien technology, talks about
Cool.
stuff coming out of China, and he nails looking back, he covers. He was so ahead of his time because no one was really talking about it then. These books came out, I
What, the
think,
90s?
like early 2000s,
Early
maybe the late
2000s.
90s.
Okay.
But man, and the story is told from a military perspective. Like the
Mhm.
main character is a hardcore military guy, and so he's not there to be like all wooey wooey. He's just there to
Right.
like complete the mission.
Mhm.
And man,
Cool. So it's books, you mean like 3 or more?
oh god, no, it's like 12, but they're
Wow.
they're not super long.
They should
But
make that into a series.
I mean, this is like if I became a billionaire, I would greenlight that.
Yeah.
Make it a TV show. But man, I'm going to send it to you next
Yeah,
chance.
send it to me. I want to research some more on that too. Like, I
Yeah.
want to know if he went through Dobster as well, because that is also a way how they do it. They send it through Dobster, even though if it's fictionalized.
Yeah.
All right, so let's listen here. Chris
Yeah,
Bledsoe talks
sorry,
about
another sidetrack. I'm taking
No,
us down
you're good.
trails
No,
today.
you're good. Good information.
Exact alignment will happen in 2026 at Easter.
What will happen?
The alignment she told me about, that the star of Regulus would be on the horizon in front of the Sphinx. At that moment, there'd be a new knowledge. Well, I had no idea if this was even possible, but these astronomers run it through the machines, and it comes out that star is going to come up on the horizon in Easter of 2026. And from that point forward, they started remote viewing the state. Government did. And now you hear it all over TV. 2026, that's the big date. 2027, that year, something's going to happen. Armageddon, you hear it all over. You hear it on TV. If you study, I've heard even, well, I won't say names, but
please do.
Well, Lou Elizondo, right? Lou's mentioned that date. A lot of people have.
Easter 2026.
Well, the year 2026. I gave him a specific time.
Whoa.
And it was with Robert Grant that I told him about this alignment and all. And then he's like, oh my God. He's been looking for this ruby, this little ruby you have to find and place it between the paws of the Sphinx to make this event that he knows is going to happen in 2026. I said, Robert, it's not a ruby, it's the star of Regulus. He looks like, he's like, oh my God, it's the king star. So what's going to happen, I don't know. But I think it's possible that's the return of
Christ.
Yeah. The lady and the whole
totally.
It kind of contradicts what he says that they're creating a script. That maybe they're not. Maybe they know if there's evil forces, right? And maybe they know if something is coming back, they want to then. I don't, dude. It's just
no.
So
I actually, I totally get this. If Christ was coming back and you had an exact date and time,
right?
You were on the opposite side. You want to be evil, and I mean, think about it. How many people in your lifetime have you heard about saying they're the second coming of Christ? And you just disregard it and you go, oh, what an idiot. He's either insane or he's a grifter, right?
Right. Yeah.
Wouldn't the same thing happen? If Christ came back in, a year and he said March, right?
Right. Yeah. Well, he said Easter, yeah, which is March.
Who would yeah, I know. I was like, oh, shit.
I think it's April.
April. No, I think you're right. But I mean, not even unless. Who would believe it? Even if he came down from the heavens, bathed in golden light through the clouds.
No one would. We'd probably nuke it.
Well, either we'd nuke it, or they would everyone, if it was being filmed and all this stuff, would go, "Oh no, it's AI. That's a deep
Blue
fake.
beam.
It's
Yeah, it's
probably
blue beam.
Who would
Right.
who would believe it? No one would
Right.
believe it.
No.
And that's the script, is you're doing all this stuff to discredit the second coming of Jesus.
Yeah, I mean, Semivan, that is ex-CIA guy, talks about 2027. Corbell recently, we played a video of him talking about 2027. Remember, he's like, it's
Yeah.
going to be a lie. It's going to be a lie. They're going to tell you 2027, and it's going to be a lie. So he says that Elizondo is saying it now too, and now Chris, but it all comes from Chris Bledsoe because they take him seriously. He said that they remote viewed that information and saw that there's something coming.
2020,
he thinks it's Christ.
The 2020s need to be, I don't even know how you'd phrase this. It needs to be the decade that's remembered as there's always a big event happening. Like Project 2025 is what the Democrats were railing on. Well, at least online, were railing on for the last year or so.
Yeah.
And then there's Project 2030, which I know I just said the 2020s. Anyway, and then there's 2027. That's when the aliens are coming. 2026. That's when Jesus is coming back. Like,
yeah.
That
2027 is linked to the 2026 one because he says that's when it will start.
Right. Just what a decade we're right smack dab in the middle of.
I know. And then you have Project 2030, right, from the UN, which
Yeah.
is globalists and the WEFA was talking about. So it's like they're pushing us there to that point. So we just have to be very wary. Even if you're Christian and you believe Jesus is coming back, or Muslim, you believe Jesus is coming back, be careful. It could still be orchestrated. But
look, okay. So
if the good side wins, then it's real. If the winner is Israel, it's fake.
No, I'm gonna put it this way, and I explained this to my parents once, and they looked at me horrified at first. So I think flat earthers are right in a way.
Yeah.
They say, unless I feel it with my hands or see it with my own eyes, I don't believe it's real.
Yeah.
Now, that's the only thing I agree on them with. I want to be very clear here. The earth is
you want to
definitely
experience
not
it
flat.
yourself. You want to
But what I'm
observe,
saying
experience
is,
yourself.
I won't believe any giant thing that happens. A, Jesus Christ. B, aliens landing on the White House lawn. C, a girl who actually likes me. I won't believe it until I see it with my own eyes or feel it with my own hands. Okay?
Yeah,
It
right.
needs to be something that I perceive. It cannot be something that is just told to me. Otherwise, I need further proof. That's all I'm saying. That's the only thing I agree with about flat earthers. And for the record, there was a story about a flat earther who was flown to Alaska, and he changed. He changed.
They went to Antarctica.
Antarctica. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
You're exactly right. I meant to say Antarctica.
Yeah.
He changed his opinion because he went there personally. He goes, I need proof. He goes there and he goes, okay, I have the proof. Now I believe. And,
no ice wall.
And
they measured the sun go around them.
And everyone online posts that article as like, look at this idiot. I'm like, fuck that. I respect this guy.
Yeah.
Because he did what he set out to do. He goes, I need proof. Show me Antarctica. Show me there's no ice wall. He was flown there. He said, there's no ice wall. Okay. Earth's not flat.
Totally.
It's not this giant conspiracy. I totally respect that. And good on him.
And the sun never set, and it went around him 360 degrees. He witnessed that himself. He's like, all right, done.
Yeah, I totally respect that. And flat earthers mostly should be clowned on, but a lot, if the true people who go, I need proof. I need to see with my own eyes or feel in my hands, or I won't believe it.
Yeah, they do that with space too. They call it space fake, and there's no glow. But if they have a rocket that they can go up there and see, I'm sure they'll change their minds.
Yeah, except for what's his name, Mad Dog. He used to build his own rockets. He just died.
He died. Yeah. I don't want to laugh, but yeah, he did.
No. Again,
he did die. That's sad.
But
he tried.
He tried. And he was a total badass. I don't know if people heard me. He built his own rockets.
Pretty
Do you know
badass.
how insane that is? And he'd fly in them.
Exactly. Crazy, man.
Yeah.
Crazy, man.
That's why they called him Mad Dog. And yeah, unfortunately, his last one, the exit didn't work because sorry, I don't mean to keep going on and on about this. His whole thing was he wanted to see the curve of the earth by flying higher and higher. That's why he was building rockets. So I respect that.
Yeah, and his last one, he died.
Yeah.
I think it was a couple years ago.
It was. Yeah, I think it was 2-3 years ago. Yeah.
So this is Diana Pasulka, who we talked about also. She was on Sean Ryan's show. Really long interview, good interview, and great clips out of there. She even says, well, here she is allowed to go to the Vatican. She went and got sources, like true sources from the Vatican. Yeah, because she has the credentials to go there, and the CIA and all that. That's why they came to her to get this information.
Wow. Okay, great. I can't wait to hear what she says.
Yeah, it was a great interview.
Teresa of Avila wrote her own experience. That's what makes it so important, is that she wrote about it. It was later what's called redacted. It was changed by the church. She said she saw this angel and it wasn't a vision. It was in reality. And she said that it was short and it was shiny and she was confused because it didn't look like an angel. And she goes, well, it must be a cherub, right? So she had confusion about it. And it had a dart. And she said this dart it took and it basically put it in me, right? So this looks like modern day UFO abduction reports. And so once you start to see those connections, you cannot unsee them. And you're like, okay, got it. This is different than how it's represented in the prayer card, right? Where it's beautiful. And I hope that I'm not offending the Catholics that are looking at this, and because it's their childhood. They were brought up with these images.
How do you know it was redacted?
Oh, because we have the redactions.
So do you have the original transcripts?
Oh, yeah. I have those.
Why would they redact it?
It didn't conform to their theology.
So
it happens all the time.
So
it even happens today.
I know it happens in government all the time.
Oh, yeah. It's standard. Yeah.
So are you saying that the Catholic Church just took a first-hand account and said, "Nah, this doesn't align with what we think, so we're just going to change it"?
Yes.
And then left the original transcript.
Got molested by priests. It didn't conform with their religion, so they just moved the priests elsewhere. Sorry, that's a whole nother thing.
Well, our government does the same thing too, so it doesn't match the narrative of the chosen and being chosen. Because if there are NHI and others out there, they're more advanced, they are probably more powerful, richer, all that stuff. You're not chosen anymore, buddy. So that's why I think they don't say that.
A little angel, though, that's wild. That's a really funny picture. I thought it was going to be about her talking to like a angel child, but a little
a little angel that was bright like a light.
Yeah, how scary would that be? I mean,
and she got and she got jabbed. They jabbed her.
Yeah.
So she said in the long interview, she said saints, all of the saints, she said, had experiences like this, and a lot of it was redacted or made to fit the narrative.
We're here at the Uncovering Anomalies podcast. We're obligated to say the jab is a good thing.
Oh yes, it is a good thing, as long as it's done by the NIH, right, and the CDC, of course. Yeah.
I just want to cover our bases. I think we're already hot water about the Israel comments before.
They're gonna keep coming, I think.
I just want to say here at the Uncovering Anomalies podcast, we're obligated to say Israel, good entity. Yep, we love them and they are good.
All right,
that could cover us for a while.
What is this clip? What is it? U.S. space. Oh yeah, that's right. The U.S. space program. You know how we have Apollo, we have Gemini. Like the Greek gods, right, or the Roman gods. Yeah. We have that on the space program. Latin is also used all the time. So Tyler, this guy that we spoke before, who's basically in the program, and is really high up there, says that that's who our sponsors are. So basically the gods of old.
Very interesting. I don't want to derail you. I just want to say this really quick. I'm trying to not get this episode pulled off of YouTube. The Uncovering Anomalies podcast is obligated to tell you the Catholic Church only does good things. They don't rape little kids, except for all the. Never mind, they don't rape little kids. There we go.
There you go. There you go. All right, take it away, Pasulka.
Our space program today even has some really interesting rituals associated with it when it does certain launches at Cape Canaveral. Maybe not all of them, but the one that Tyler was involved with, they had images of Roman gods and goddesses put on the rockets. They would use Latin on their patches, their mission patches. And they would also have specific rituals that they would do, sometimes involving U.S. presidents. They would position the presidents at a certain point where astronomical events, would happen. And this, so
like
Tyler had,
like the president of the United States.
Yes, the president of the United States. They didn't know what they were doing. They were just being positioned there. So, they're like, stand here, Mr. Obama or President Obama. And he would stand there with his wife and look this direction. It was part of the whole thing. And there were photos. He has photos of all of that.
I mean, can you be a little more specific? Why would they stand him in a
Well,
certain...
see, okay, so this is obviously some type of ritual. And I don't know why they're doing it. I just know that I'm a scholar of religion. I know a ritual when I see one. He didn't even understand it. So I noticed that they were using Latin, and I noticed it wasn't medieval Latin. I was like, this is a particular form of Latin. It seems like it's Roman theology. So, they're using the images of Roman gods. And I would ask him, I said, why are you using the images of Roman gods? Why are you putting them on your mission patches and also utilizing Latin phrases from that time period? I mean, you're sending it up into space. Who up in space is going to read Latin? And his answer was our sponsors. So, I mean, that's what he said. And so he also had
Which Roman gods, do you know?
Yeah, so there would be obviously Apollo, right? So all the missions, if you think of all the missions, they're all those gods and goddesses.
Bizarre, huh?
It is bizarre. I'm going to send this clip to my buddy who this would be incredibly relevant.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Yeah, this would be super relevant.
Bow down. And he had Elizondo on, I think, yesterday.
Oh, nice.
Well, Elizondo has a great take on the New Jersey drones. And, you can't deny what he's saying here. He loves making that face. He's like, yep. Like I said.
Yeah, let's hear it.
What about the New Jersey drones?
Yeah.
That came out, about a month ago, whenever the...
And it wasn't just New Jersey. It was New York, Massachusetts, Florida, California, Oregon, Washington, even in the UK.
I think it kind of spun out of control. I mean, every asshole with a drone was throwing it up and taking videos of it.
Sure, and I'm not worried about
social
those.
media.
My concern is when you have some that have been reported the size of an SUV, or more importantly, aren't blinking. First of all, they're not squawking. There's no transponder on them. Which if there's a large enough commercial drone, they're supposed to. Then secondly, the light patterns were not consistent with, in some cases, with navigational aviation lights. And then third, they were silent. And fourth, when we actually deploy drones to try to intercept, individuals try to do that, there seemed to be an anti-drone capability on board, meaning some drones were disabled and fell out of the sky, the ones that were flown to try to intercept these other drones. Now, let's talk about drones for a second in New Jersey. Most people are familiar with the quadcopters. Commercially available hobbyists have little quadcopters. They fly for about 15 minutes, maybe a mile or two, and then they have to be recovered. Now imagine what it takes to fly a drone that's the size of an SUV. Let's look at technologically just for a second. Most drones are line of sight, RF, radio frequency, line of sight. Fly the drone, it sees me, I see it, and it's getting my signal, I can control it. If you want to go beyond the horizon, beyond line of sight, right, you now need infrastructure to do that. You need a repeating capability, meaning an airborne capability or a land-based capability that will take that signal and then retransmit it out to your drone, because you're now over the horizon where these signals are going to reach. So you need an artificial way, whether it's a balloon or a satellite or a tower, to relay that signal. Otherwise, the thing doesn't fly. It'll crash. So you got to transmit that. That takes infrastructure. Then if you're going to have a drone that flies more than 15 minutes, in some case 5, 6, 7 hours, and not fly 2 miles, but fly over 100 miles, think about that. There's only 2 types of fuel we use for drones. One is internal combustion engine, like jet A fuel, maybe you use, or gasoline for a propeller, internal combustion engine, or battery. Now, batteries don't last that long, and they're heavy as hell. So, and the fuel is even more expensive. You want liquid fuel, that's even heavier. So loiter capabilities, the reason why our drones now, like a Reaper or something like that, are fixed wing, because they got to stay flying for a long time. And so a helicopter, a rotary blade drone can't do that. You don't have that loiter capability, so you have a fixed wing capability. That's not what these were. They weren't fixed wing capabilities. And so if you want to fly a drone, even one of those, you have to have someone to launch it, someone to control it, someone to recover it, someone to maintain it, someone to refuel it or re-energize it, right? So now you're talking a group of individuals that have to be on flying just a single drone with that type of capability. Where are you going to launch it from without being seen or detected? Where are you going to recover it from without not a single one being recovered, right? Completely in the dark. Now you're talking about, okay, well, maybe I can launch it from a boat. Okay, well, how far out are you going to be in international waters? And are you sure the Coast Guard's not going to see you and your ship identifier and all these other things? I mean, if, as some people reported, having a quote unquote mothership, that's a big profile in the water. Okay, well, maybe they're launching some submarines. Okay, great. But then there's a challenge with that too. Is the submarine surfacing to launch them? Or are these things being launched subsurface? Meaning like the old Polaris missile, right? Blows out of a tube and flies. Then what about when it lands? And what about if one crashes? Because, it's technology, right? It could be interfered with, electronic jamming capabilities. Are you willing to take that risk? And all of a sudden now
Are you there?
Paraded like the Russians did with the U-2 back in the 1960s.
Yeah.
Sorry, it froze. I thought we crashed.
Oh, no, I didn't see that.
Okay.
Anyway, it's almost done. But yeah, I mean, he's got great points there. And even Jake Barber, he was used, him and his team were asked to come in and look at the New Jersey drones. And they said too, no, man, this is anomalous. This is not anything we had or we have. And it's not China. China. What else do we got? We're at 2 hours, 20 minutes. Doge. Spielberg. So Spielberg's new movie has a new title.
Yeah.
Guess what it's called?
Formerly known as The Dish. The film has apparently been retitled as Disclosure. Whoa, weird.
I know. I mean, what is he is it part of the op then, or what's going on here? Because
he always has.
Yeah.
I'm gonna watch Close Encounters, I think, tonight.
And this is coming out when? Don't tell me 2027. All right, so shooting on Disclosure is set to begin in New Jersey on February 28th.
Which means 2027, probably holidays 2027. So like December 2027. May 2026?
Yeah.
Wow, that's a quick turnaround.
That is really quick turnaround. But right in time for what is going to happen 2026, 2027.
Right. Well, is this quote unquote soft disclosure?
I guess, or at least controlled disclosure, where we want to control the narrative of what's happening. And
I didn't even look at the cast. Emily Blunt is good. I like her. I don't know who Josh O'Connor is. Colin Firth is good, but I'm not a huge fan of his. I don't know who Eve Hewson, Coleman Domingo, and Wyatt Russell. Wyatt Russell. Isn't that the guy who's playing like not the new Captain America, but he was in some of the DC stuff. I could be wrong about that.
And Janice Kaminsky is the DP.
I don't know who that is. I don't know anyone else. Like, I know actors, kind of. I don't know behind the scenes people.
All right, we have some
no
videos.
Plot details at this time. But yeah, let's keep going.
We have this is over Colombia again. They always have something. So it was a triangle craft.
The aliens, they just need a steady supply of cocaine, apparently.
There it is right here. He's on an airplane and he's going up to 20,000 feet So at 14,000 feet, he catches it here.
Oh, nice. Okay.
Pilot during his flight. So, guys, let's take a look at the footage, and then we'll have a real quick chat afterwards.
Oh yeah, look at that.
Yeah.
That's man-made. That's the T3RB, in my opinion.
But it's going up.
So here's what I know about this footage.
Well, planes have to go
This
up
was
somehow.
sighted on January
No, but
the
it's flying sideways, but looking up.
2025 over this
I think
area
that's
of
just
Colombia.
from his view.
Now, while
If
the
he's a
pilot
plane,
was
he's
trying to
going
get his
forward.
plane
If you
at
look
a
at
cruising
something, you know what I'm
altitude
trying to
of
say?
22,000
Yeah.
feet, this object came into view. Now, he sighted this object at 14,000 feet. Now, the object goes past his plane, and it is a black
I think it's the
triangular
other way
shaped
around.
It looks like
UFO.
one of ours.
Now, for some reason, I'm getting an odd feeling that this UFO
I don't
is
even think that's a
checking out this plane.
T3RB. I
But
think that's
maybe
like a
that's just
B2
me.
bomber or
Now,
something.
there is an Easter egg in the footage. And if you look closely, there seems to be another UFO there, a dark circle, black object. But guys, what do you think this could be? Is this some military exercise? Some
Possibly.
visitor from another planet checking
I do
out
think
how
it's a
we fly
military
around?
exercise or whatever.
It
you
looks
wanna
like one
say.
of
Until
ours.
next time,
Yeah.
stay blessed and keep safe.
Yeah,
the
it looks like something we would.
Yeah, I was gonna say the T3RB fully a triangle. That thing just looks like a B2, like our stealth bomber. Is it a B? I keep calling it a B2, but I can't.
I think that's B2. The B2 bomber.
Yeah.
The new one is what, B21 or B23, something like that.
Yeah, we
So-
covered on the show a while back.
Yeah. And
Now,
here's
what's
another.
this?
Here's a saucer that got tracked on
God,
infrared.
God.
This is a
We
nice
gotcha, you alien fuckers.
There it is.
Oh,
No fucking way.
Look how it's moving.
Holy shit.
Yeah, I'm right with this guy.
Holy fuck.
That's clearly a circular bird. You know how we have those?
Yeah, they crash into each other. Usually it's 3 or 4, and they make
Yeah.
a circle.
That is.
It's like
That's
trying to get away
incredible.
from him.
Yeah, I know. It's like, oh God, you saw me. It's like someone coming out of the shower and they got
fucking way.
They get seen.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're not supposed to be.
How erratic it gets, huh?
Yeah.
That's a good one. Man, oh man, I'm gonna do space truckers.
Hell yeah, brother.
You shared that shark.
Yeah, that's a weird one. I don't know what to make of this. So sharks keep washing up on the beach, and they have enlarged brains, and
So
they
some
can't figure out-
inflammation.
They can't figure out why. I'm sure it is due to pollution and all the shit that it gets thrown in our oceans.
Over half a dozen dead great white sharks on beaches across the eastern seaboard has baffled experts.
Who still don't know why so many have passed away. Marine wildlife specialists still cannot pinpoint why the cluster of 9 apex predators have been discovered on beaches over the last few years. That doesn't seem like a whole lot, but it's still weird. With most displaying the same rare medical issue. One of the first white sharks to wash up on the beach was found on Prince Edward Island in Canada in August 2023. No physical signs for why it died. When they cut it open, they discovered that the brain was too big. It had died from Oh, my mom's gonna be so disappointed in me. Meningoencephalitis.
Oh, nice.
Which causes brain inflammation. I still don't think I pronounced that correctly. Oh, here's a picture. Oh,
Several breaches. Yeah.
No, listen. I think no. Never mind. My thing,
Laser sharks.
They have to have 2 legs or 4 legs.
Yeah.
I was about to say fish kind of have 4 legs.
Ah.
Look at the tail and the fins, but the thing is, I'm scared of fish. I'm not really scared of sharks, and most of my fear is just based on how they look. I think
Yeah.
sharks are kind
They're
of
ancient.
Yeah. I mean, they haven't evolved for hundreds of thousands of years because they have already evolved to be the apex predator a long time ago.
Oh yeah, they own the ocean. Look who's
Yeah.
on Time magazine.
Is this real?
Yeah.
Are you sure?
It's gonna piss off Trump. Yeah, I looked it up too.
Okay.
Here. I think I Googled it yesterday.
I know this is the thing that the Democrats are all up in arms about. This is their new thing to be upset about
Yeah,
this
yeah, it's
week.
true.
That, we didn't elect Elon Musk. And they don't realize that he's doing the same thing that Democrats and left-leaning not even politicians, left-leaning, I don't even know the word.
But they're just trying to play off Trump's ego so he can fire him. You know, the guy
Yeah.
is actually doing good stuff, and he is effective, and that's why they want him gone.
Yeah, I mean, I do think he's a little bit of an edgelord who hasn't grown up past his like early 20s.
Oh, he's so mature. Yeah.
Yeah. But I do think overall, I mean, he's doing what we wanted. We wanted drain the swamp. We wanted to get rid of this obscene government spending. And now that all these people are starting to see the millions of dollars that are going to just bizarre things around the world through USAID, the Democrats especially are just up in arms about Musk, even though he's doing exactly what everyone said, what Trump said he was going to do.
Exactly. He was on the campaign trail saying that they're going to do exactly this, and they're doing it. That's who we voted for. So shut up and get out of the way.
Yeah, I still wish Vivek was there. I think the reason he left was over the H-1B passports, if I remember correctly.
Oh, yeah.
I care more about UFOs than political shit. So forgive me, listeners, if I don't know what I'm talking about.
All right, so I'm going to skip the Israel stuff because we're
late
anyway.
If we want the episode to stay up.
But we'll do some comedy. There's two comedic things I think you'll like.
Oh, good.
This is Trump and Musk on Rogan, obviously made by AI. It's hilarious.
We're live. Today we've got President Trump and Elon Musk in the studio. Welcome back, guys.
Hey, Joe. Good to see you.
Always a pleasure, Joe. Now, President Trump, you've been back in office for less than 2 weeks, and it's fair to say you're keeping busy. How's it going?
Well, Joe, as you know, we're sending the bad people back to their countries. But if I'm honest, I think I may have overdone it with the Hispanics.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, Joe, Taco Tuesday feels different now. Less talk.
What about you, Elon? What's up?
For the usual, building cars, science experiments, pioneering rocket technology.
How German of you.
Nice one. I did not see that coming.
Come on, guys. Do you really think this is a good idea? Maybe I love you.
Anyways, Mr. President, what's next on your agenda?
Well, Joe, we've got a lot of things to take care of, starting with all of the...
Sorry, guys. I think there was something wrong with that elk steak I had for lunch.
Don't be sorry. You know I'm quite the farter myself.
Listen, guys, no one knows farts like I do. I have the best farts. Farts that smell like you've never smelled before. I feel she's my closest competitor.
Hey, did you guys know I invented a new type of fart?
What?
Yeah, I call it the Atmos fart. Check it out.
Oh my god.
This guy's a genius.
There is something about being a man that is just so heartwarming. We can all get behind a good fart and always think it's funny, no matter how old we are.
I know, it's crazy. Burps and farts. Well, mostly farts though.
Mostly farts.
And then there's one more. What this guy is Tom Green.
Oh yeah, I watched this. Yeah,
it's pretty funny. He brings up Tartaria and the mud flood.
I had this friend of mine, I hadn't seen him in years. We used to agree on everything. And we just ran into each other on the street recently. And a completely different person. He's on a completely different algorithm, I tell you. No, it's weird. I ran into this guy. We used to agree on everything. We start talking about the Tartarian Empire, okay? About how But all these beautiful buildings we see down here, they weren't built by us. They were built by a hidden civilization that we don't know about. And then the mud floods came, and we wouldn't even know about this ancient civilization if you're nodding your head here. Yeah. We wouldn't know about any of this unless Admiral Larry Byrd had gone to Antarctica and went over the ice wall and talked to the reptilian overlords from the planet Nibiru. And we find out about the Tartarian, all this stuff, right? And I'm talking to my buddy, and he doesn't know about any of this shit. That's the thing. Like, the guy's a fucking idiot. I had this friend of mine. I hadn't seen him in years.
Oh man, Tom Green.
Yeah, right. Blast from the past.
Yeah, no kidding. He was everywhere in like the late 90s or early 2000s.
Yeah, he had a show. He was married to what's her name? She was a hottie. I mean, I think maybe still is.
I honestly, I don't know. I know I said I know celebrities earlier, but I'm completely blanking on this one.
MTV anchor. She started. Oh man, I don't know why I can't remember. She became like an autistic, injured mom kind of thing. Anyway, yeah.
Isn't it funny though that
Jenna McCarthy?
Oh, okay. Oh, nice. Good for him.
Yeah.
Isn't it funny that most of these, comedians as they get older are becoming more and more conservative?
Yes. Yeah.
Like-
because they
like
couldn't make jokes anymore, right?
Yeah, like Chappelle.
Yeah.
I've always loved Chappelle. I still think one of his first stand-ups, I can't remember if it was his first one or not. It's when he was really young. And it is just, I think, one of the funniest things I've ever listened to or watched. Bill Burr, who he says he's a liberal, but he seems more
Common sense.
Yeah, more common sense.
Yeah.
He's one. Tom Green, like we just watched. I know Jerry Seinfeld keeps getting
He's like that too.
brought up in the news because he can't, he's complaining about people being too sensitive and stuff like that.
Right.
It is an interesting, I think I said it on the show before. The pendulum swings one way and then it swings the other. And it was swinging one way for the last, 10, 15 years?
Oh, yeah, basically since 9/11, yeah.
And now it's even, no, 9/11, the country was very conservative.
No, I know after 9/11, like basically after Bush is when it started, like with Obama. So 2008, let's say. Yeah.
Yeah. But now the pendulum is swinging the other way. I mean, we saw that with the election of Trump.
Yeah. And that's why they love the two-party system, though, because it keeps us going back and forth. Just as long as we stay in the two-party system they control, they don't care.
Yeah.
Who always wins? Let's not say.
God forbid a libertarian gets elected. I mean, wouldn't that be swell?
Shoot him.
Well, he'd die real quick. He get the old JFK treatment.
Oh yeah, I mean JFK'd. Well, that was fun. Rendlesham Forest is great. There's a lot going on, you know, in UFO land and UAP land and NHI land. Looks like it's getting into the mainstream more and more.
Absolutely.
People are getting it more and more.
And I highly recommend the people who enjoyed, our talk on the Rendlesham Forest UFO incident. I highly recommend you do some other research outside of our podcast, because we covered as much as we could, but we couldn't get to everything because it's impossible to get to everything in the time frame that we have.
Right.
And
you need just part 1, part 2, probably.
Yeah, I mean, there's so much really good information that's tucked away in there. I mean, for instance, the whole High Brazil thing I brought up was not in the article that we covered. And I mean, there's so much.
Well, we covered it, yeah.
We did cover it, but I'm just saying, like, it wasn't going to be part of the original, in the show. Yeah. And so there's a lot of other stuff like that, and there's a lot of who's who, and there's a lot of fun. I can't remember the guy who's been the most vocal about all of this is a complete con man, and he's so funny to listen to because he just does the most outlandish, wildest shit. What his whole thing was, bullets are cheap. He said, because he was, I'm putting this in quotes, he was a part of it, and he was pulled into a back room by a government agent, and they said, do you want to sign this or do you want the bullet? And just remember, bullets are cheap. Something along those lines. I mean, there are so many B plots and C plots to the Rendlesham story incident, but that kind of is what makes it one of my favorite UFO things that's happened.
And you can know when something's true when a lot of disinformation is thrown at it just to confuse
Absolutely.
everyone. You know, that's what they do.
Absolutely.
Well, cool. I will work on hopefully getting someone else on the show. You know, if not, we'll just keep chugging along, looking at old cases and updating you on what's happening in the space.
Absolutely. And you know, I'm actually even more pissed off after this episode. Have I had any mic issues at all?
No, not at
So
all.
just last
Zero.
week we have a
Yes.
guest on, and my mic goes completely on the fritz, but it's fine today, apparently.
Yeah.
I mean, what the hell? What the hell, man?
I don't know. I don't know what to do with it.
I just unreal. Again, thank you, Bruce, for coming on the show last week. We really
Yes, yeah.
appreciate it.
And you can come on anytime. He's welcome to come on
Anytime, man.
anytime. I
Anytime.
mean, even just to go through the news with us, I'd love to hear his
Yeah.
opinions on what what he thinks on what's going on.
Definitely.
It'll be fun.
I'll probably have to change my name. I don't want to.
He's got a great sense of humor. He'll get it.
Well, you know, I was going to use Dick Buttkiss last week, and I had a lot of variations on that.
That was
And
hilarious.
you said no.
Yeah,
said
I'm glad
no
you
to
did it.
that. Even though Dick Buttkiss, for those of you who don't know, that's a real person. He was a coach in the NFL.
Yep.
And he might have even been a player.
And I think a movie star.
I don't think you kept saying that. Was he?
Yeah.
He might have
think
like appeared in
he was in-
movies.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, well, yeah, that's what I mean. Just
Okay.
like Hightower did.
Okay, yeah.
Because he was in movies as well. Yeah, see, Dick Buttkiss. Time Out for Dad, Hamburger the Motion Picture. Yeah, he's been in a lot. The Legend of Sleepy Hollow.
I'm sorry, Hamburger the Motion Picture.
Yes, the 80s had some weird movies.
Yeah, they were flying high on High Brazil back in the day.
That's one thing I didn't know of High Brazil. That was really cool.
Yeah, it's a really fun legend if you go down the rabbit hole. But we want to thank you all so much for listening, as we always do. And catch us wherever you want to catch us. But if you're going to find us on YouTube, better hurry, because it's going down.
I hope not.
Quick.
Hopefully,
yeah, no, I did apologize to all the communities we might have
You did.
offended.
Yes.
And for the record, I grew up as Catholic, so me hating on the Catholic Church is not. And I didn't
That's
even
fair game.
That's fair
as they
game,
say.
and I don't even hate the Catholic Church. I appreciate a lot of what they do. I just think they're a little bit backhanded,
Yeah.
underhanded. I mean, underhanded.
I mean,
well,
they basically worship love. You know, nothing's wrong with that. It's much better than worshiping hate. You
Oh,
know, and they're open to everyone. You know what I mean? It's not like a
kind of.
tribal thing. Yeah.
Last I heard, I mean, my information's way out of date. I haven't been practicing for a very long time now, but I remember when I first got to college, and the first thing, like for everyone, when you get to college, you get that liberal slant to your life.
Oh yeah, of course.
And I realized that it's weird that women can't become priests, and there's no like solid logic to that.
Uh-huh.
Anyway, and then
you understood it.
Well, and then when I was going to college and during the time, that's when the big story came out about all these kids who have been molested by priests. And it's just like, oh my God, this is the religion I'm a part of.
I mean, they're human. It's hard. I think all religions have weird stuff.
Absolutely. I'm just speaking from experience. I can't speak about the Jewish faith or the Muslim faith or anything like that, because that wasn't me. Like I said, I grew up Catholic, so that's the thing I get to rag on.
Right. But great episode. Yes, if you guys want to follow us on X, tag us there. We are at UAP the podcast, and I'm at Breakaway Civil. Topher's at Topher at all. Follow us, tag us, let us know how we're doing. We'll definitely respond. And then we're on all podcasting platforms and all video platforms. So if you found us, you already found us already. So, but share us, right? Share our stuff if you like it. Put on your social media. Share it with a friend. Like us. Comment. All that stuff. It helps out. Come on, people.
We really do love hearing feedback. We do. Adam will send me screenshots of some of the YouTube comments and other comments from other platforms as well. that we get, and I always get a tickle out of it. I mean, you guys have been so supportive.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's so much appreciated. That is I Have a Need to Know, Adam.
Woo!
And I am cold blimey, mate, Topher. And again, I want to apologize to all of our British listeners for my terrible British accent. I can only do stereotypical American accents. I cannot do otherworldly accents. I can do Canadian, okay? Yo, okie dokie there, bud. We want to thank you all so much for listening to the Uncovering Anomalies podcast. This has been episode 107. Right? Can you believe it's been that long?
I cannot.
Will you play the song from 2 weeks ago? Yeah.
Day by day.
Oh, this is the one from 2 weeks
Night
ago.
by night.
Yeah, it is.
Where do I stand?
Yeah.
Where do I
Lose my
fight?
mind. You're right.
The
You're right.
conspiracy is taking me, and now I'm fighting relentlessly. What's the truth and what's the lie? Will we forever fight and die? We uncover truths and tell you what's the news, what they won't tell you. It's Adam and Topher. We come in peace. Our hunt for the truth will never cease. It's the Uncovering Anomalies podcast. We tell you the UFO news at last. Forgive us for being brief, but the truth never sleeps.
Fun fact, that's just me singing with auto-tune. I wrote and performed this entire song.
Nice voice.
Day by day, night by night, where do I stand? Where do I fight? The conspiracy is taking me, and now I'm fighting relentlessly. What's the truth and what's the lie? Will we forever fight and die? We uncover truths and tell you what's the news, what they won't tell you. It's Adam and Topher. We come in peace. Our hunt for the truth will never cease. It's the Uncovering Anomalies podcast. We tell you the UFO news at last. Forgive us for being brief, but the truth never sleeps.
Go Eagles, fuck the Chiefs.